deals behind closed doors, promises broken. Inner income source, hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line. Television screens bright and loud, sell you dreams, make you proud. Pop the bubble, see the cage you're in. Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Welcome to the chaos.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
I was here already. I saw Kat saying, let me give Daemon a few minutes to get here, but I was here. She was just eating her food.
Look.
Apparently she's got bubblegum steak. She's like chewing that shit for about a minute before she can swallow. Come on, Kat. You've been a wife for how many years?
No, nobody can friggin'. I don't know. I do. I realized I haven't been outside since
Work those guns.
Not since 2020.
Gargle it before you swallow.
This is ridiculous. But anyways, so I have a debate coming up on Monday night on tomatoes. And as we know from previous experience, I can't debate like at all. But I'm going to try it again.
You're not preparing though, are you?
What do you mean I'm not preparing? That's what we're doing today.
All right. Okay. See, if the girl that you're debating is smart, she's going to look at your channel to see if you're going to do anything like that.
But see, I'm triple, quadruple, infinity more smart. So we're not going to talk about my strategy online, but we're going to dissect her strategy from 2 other debates that she did.
Ah.
What do you mean, huh?
No, I said, ah, okay. Hello to the chat, by the way. Believe in yourself. Then you next, DK.
What's up? I don't know what this is about. Okay. Interesting. Yes.
So,
anyways, so this is her in the upper left-hand corner. And she did one on said corn. We're going to call it corn. Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we got to do that because the algo and shit. So, should it be banned? As a refresher course, my debate
is... she debated Andrew.
She did. Where? Hold on. What is the actual...
I don't know how Andrew does this. The guy has the patience of a saint. It'd be so boring just debating, like, yeah, with all due respect, you know, dumb hoes all the time.
Me? Am I annoying because I'm eating? Or we're talking
when
about
Kat meets this girl, she's going to decide, this girl's smart. I'm going to have an OnlyFans channel where I just eat.
Steven's like, just put your feet up. That's not immoral. I'm like, yes, it is. You know what they're doing. Does it affect you?
No, there's more weirdos out there who like watching you eat. Like, look at Simperius. If he didn't see you eating on stream, he would literally have like 80% less boners throughout the week.
Now he just like refers to me as fat.
I know, but that's what turns him on. You got to understand his love language. He likes watching you eat, and what really makes him come is when you like wiggle your bingo wings.
I don't think they're that bad. You guys are very rude. Now, yes, they're not what they used to be, which was freaking, they used to call me alien arms because they would just be straight little sticks, like little twigs. But you know what? It's pretty good for an old lady, you know? You guys, it could be so much worse. What are you talking about?
Well, thank God for children's blood.
Anyways, so okay. The actual, I don't remember what is the, is OnlyFans harmful for society is the prompt for the debate. So we're going to see. Yes. We're going to see what she says. I'm going to put a little bit faster speed because I can't. We're not going to want, it's 5 hours. There's no way.
Oh, fucking hell. Jesus.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I know that she could do it, but I don't know how Andrew can. Men can't talk for 5 hours straight. Women
3.5 hours is the debate. So I am not watching that. We'll skip around because obviously, and later on after Jake and Cheeks do some sort of degenerate stuff, we'll hop on there and bother them. So let's see what she says.
Contributing to the decline of people's physical and mental health. Obviously, one of the most widespread examples being fast food. Yet, obviously, we don't have anyone calling for McDonald's to be banned, although I think maybe Andrew should if he wants to be consistent. And let me be clear, I certainly don't want it to be banned either, because this is a situation where we've actually clearly outlined the level of harm that we as a society deem acceptable. And the science is clear on this. Obesity is one of the biggest health crises that we're dealing with today, if not the biggest. And yet still, we obviously afford people the freedom to eat a Big Mac as often as they want, and we afford those businesses the right to exist. So if the 300,000 Americans who die every year attributable to obesity isn't enough of a cause for concern to outright ban all fast food, then I ask, why should we ban porn when it doesn't even come close to the level of harm that fast food does? What then becomes abundantly clear here is that the issue the anti-porn crowd have is not one of public health concern. It is actually an issue of morality, which in the case of conservatives and religious folk essentially boils down to, we should ban this because I think it's icky, or we should ban this because God thinks it's icky. Well, I like to operate in a world that places facts before feelings. So let's talk about facts. Problematic porn use is something that is only reported by a small minority of people. The research indicates around 4% of men and 1% of women report adverse effects. So the vast majority of people are able to engage in porn in a responsible and healthy manner, and porn is not something that negatively affects their mental health or other areas of their life, such as relationships or work life. In fact, studies have shown that one of the biggest indicators of self-perceived problems around pornography use is actually moral incongruence. So, for example, if you're a very religious or conservative person and you hold the belief that porn is bad for you, it's sinful and you should stay away from it, but you watch it anyway, that can be very mentally distressing. And let me be clear, it is not the porn itself that is causing this psychological distress. It's the moral incongruence. Meta-analyses have found religiosity to be an even stronger predictor of perceived pornography-related problems than the frequency of watching porn and even daily use of porn. And this is especially interesting when we consider the statistics showing that the Bible Belt states in America watch a lot of porn. And on top of that, they're among the highest consumers of gay porn. So this really starts to paint a picture of how prevalent this moral incongruence phenomenon is in regards to perceived problematic porn use. For those who don't experience such moral incongruence, porn can often be seen as a rather positive thing in their lives, or maybe even neutral, providing them with a sexual outlet and stress relief, and even positive relationship and educative effects such as improved sexual communication with their partner and more attentive to their partner's sexual desires. Overall, the literature and academic community are in consensus that pornography does not negatively affect the vast majority of people. I'm not going to deny that there isn't some level of harm being caused here, but obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we as a society have deemed an acceptable level of harm in the case of things like fast food, alcohol, the things that Andrew mentioned. Much of people's disdain for pornography is one of moral disagreement rather than of public health concern. So if you're someone who cares about freedom of speech and personal autonomy, we should instead advocate for better regulations around porn to ensure that it's being ethically produced and that workers are being treated fairly, rather than state enforcement of what consenting adults should do in the privacy of their own homes.
What do you think? Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised. She's a hoe with a brain. I actually agree with pretty much everything she said there. And
Debate
the
over.
fact that this is going to be a debate. Sorry?
Debate over.
No. The funny thing is that if Andrew argues against her, he's kind of contradicted himself because in what I've seen him say in previous videos, on a logical and on a moral and ethical basis, he should technically agree with her for most of this. The only thing I do take issue with is this idea of, oh, we need to make sure that the porn is ethically produced. I think that shit is bullshit. You're not going to be able to ethically create the thing. It's like when people say, you know what, let's legalize drugs, but we need to make sure that we make the drugs and that we distribute them in an ethical way. No, it's a shitty thing. It is a shitty thing. It harms your body. It's junk. And if you're gonna legalize it, what you're hoping for is that the majority of people in society aren't degenerates. But you give an option out there. You say, look, it's legal. If you want to do it, do it. Do it in your own home. Keep it away from everybody else. We don't want to fucking know about it, right? Keep it to yourself. And most of the decent people are going to avoid it. But then you're going to have some people who are weak, who can't avoid temptation, who are going to get hooked on it and ruin their fucking lives. You can't say, but let's do something ethical here. We know the porn addiction is real. We know that it damages, or it has the potential to damage your understanding of a healthy relationship, and it can fuck with people's behavior. It can wreck your life. But she is right when she says the majority of people consume it in a way that's just, it's normal. Especially if you've got like a young kid that's full of fucking testosterone and has no outlet. And especially nowadays where most of the playgrounds, they've gotten rid of them. They've built estates fucking everywhere in every free space. You can't go out. You can't play football like you used to. You can't do sports like you used to.
So you're saying sports was the
it was an outlet. It was an energy outlet. Well, if you look at most people who do physically strenuous activity, if you look at most people who do, let's say, bodybuilding, for example, strength training. No, it's just that you can't, because if you get rid of that, you have a massive testosterone dip, and then you can't push hard when it comes to your training. So that's why most people are boxers, their trainers always just like, don't fuck before the fight. You want to maintain your energy. You want to be able to have that testosterone so you can push harder in the competition. So yes, if you do other stuff, if you do other strenuous activity, like you use up that energy. But especially when you're a young teenage kid, unless you're out there running around doing shit like all the fucking time, you're going to need some kind of outlet. And, you jerk it and you can think straight for a while. Like every fucking kid does this. Like whenever I hear people say like, oh, you look at porn, oh, you fucking degenerate, you fucking waste. Like, what, you don't? You're going to tell me that you're the one fucking man who doesn't look at porn? Like, shut the fuck up. Everybody does it. Nobody talks about it.
Daemon.
But, she's
some
what?
People really don't look at it.
Yeah, people who don't have testicles.
No, there's people out there. I know this is hard. See, this is the problem that I had when I didn't drink. Everybody was like, oh, you're lying. Everybody drinks. Like literally when somebody does
drinking is an option. Drinking is an option. You don't have a biological need and drive telling you to drink.
Well, the problem is people who cannot control their urges think everybody can't control their urges.
No. Look. I agree.
Might be the most
I agree. I agree. There might be some guys out there who don't look at porn, and those are the guys who are fucking chicks. When I fuck chicks, I don't look at porn. If I'm in a relationship and we're having a healthy amount of sex, I'm not looking at porn. I got no need to look at porn. But there's times when people are single, and if they don't look at porn, their balls will literally explode. Blue balls is a real thing. you've got to do it. You have to, unless you're working like crazy, fucking just burning all your energy. And this is why I tell people, like, there was a guy who I was actually on a stream with quite a while ago who had a porn addiction. And I had heard about porn addictions, but the guy explained it in a way that was actually quite amazing, because it really gave insight into how these people operate, and why they get addicted to porn, what's wrong in their life that feeds into that. And literally I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, every single choice that I made in life, you made the opposite choice. You put yourself in a situation where this was your only outlet and it worked for you, and you carried on doing it, and it was a vicious cycle and a downward spiral, and now you're hooked on it. And this guy was literally doing it like 15 times a day. It was insane. And very, very, very small changes in his life fixed that. Very small changes. And yes,
Like
I know
what?
this sounds dumb. I know it sounds cliche. Well, like I said, I know it sounds dumb. I know it sounds cliche. But the first thing was substituting it for another healthier outlet. And it was the gym.
Of
And
course it was a gym.
I said to him, like, you're going to hate this shit. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate it for the first 3 or 4 weeks. But within 3 or 4 weeks, because, you know, you've never done this shit. And this is the amazing thing for guys who've never gone to the gym, for guys who haven't ever worked out, you will find that if you put some regular effort, regular training, it doesn't have to be crazy, you'll notice changes very quickly. And I'm not just talking about putting on muscle mass, getting defined. That happens quicker for you if you've never done it before. It does actually happen quicker for you if you train the right way. But
Mhm.
the mental clarity that you get and the fulfillment that you get out of it, it takes time. You're going to hate it at first, but it does help you. And you can see and you can feel those differences. You can see and feel those positive results. And those positive results, that feedback that you get from your own body, it is more fulfilling than simply just jacking off. The jacking off thing is literally just kind of decompressing. It's chucking the excess energy away rather than actually putting it somewhere where it's going to make a difference.
See,
And
I don't
if
like
you
it because what? No, I'm just gonna say that I don't like the whole like whacking off. I don't think people should be whacking off just because they have that blue balls or excess energy, whatever, because it makes you lazy. You need to have that anger. You need to be mad that you're horny and nobody wants to bang you. You need to use that anger and channel that anger into something so that you can bang.
yeah, testosterone isn't quite the same thing though. Okay, look, guys have testosterone and that needs to
Everybody has it.
fuck or do something, right? Well, yeah, I know women have it not the same way that men have it. Okay, in the same way that men have estrogen, but not in the same way that women have it.
We have different fluctuations, but generally, I think I read that. Hold on. I'll keep going. I'm going to look something up.
Well, the way the male brain and the female brain react to these things as well is different. Okay. The effect it will have on a female brain is not quite the same effect it will have on a male brain. This is why when you look at transformers taking cross-sex hormones, it fucks your head up. It does not make you act and behave the same way a normal woman would or a normal man would. It screws you up. You're not wired for it. That shit does not belong in your brain in those concentrations that often. And this is why you see so many of them just, I'm sorry, but lose their shit and go insane. Well, go more insane. But yes, the type of energy that you get from testosterone isn't quite the same that you can't apply it to absolutely everything. It's not that kind of energy that will give you kind of mental clarity to get shit accomplished. It's for physical shit. It is for literally working out or fucking. That's what you tend to find. The minute you have testosterone spikes, it's not like you have sorry, when you have a drop in testosterone
Mhm.
after you've done a massive workout or whatever, it's not like I don't have the energy to do anything. You still do. It's just that it's not geared towards that kind of type of physicality thing, like, you know, fuck or fight. It's not for those two things. That's what it's geared towards, really. Essentially, you still have energy for everything else. Because otherwise, like, a guy would be like, you know what? It would be like women. I can't come to work today. I had sex yesterday. I need 3 or 4 days off. Like when you guys were in Rag Week.
You know that that's different. When women have sex, they get energy. When men have sex, they lose energy.
Yeah, I know, because you're like vampires in your teeth and your vagina, and you just suck all our energy out.
Exactly. That's why I think women want it more than men, because we can harvest energy from men like that.
Well, yeah, go for it.
No, because there's all that, you know, they like to say that women don't have as much of a drive as men. Women have, at least
They
every
do.
woman I
They
know
do.
has like
They
crazy
do.
high drives. But
I never met a woman that doesn't have a high sex drive. Never once in my life. But look, the sad thing is that whenever I hear guys telling me like, oh, she doesn't have much of a sex drive, unfortunately, I've got to call guys out on this. I have to call out my own team. It's guys that I think, yeah, because women wouldn't really want to fuck you. I mean, I'm sorry, but women who go with guys because they have money and this and that shit, like, you know, there's other reasons why they're attracted to you. So, you know, be happy when you can get it.
yeah, so you have to understand food is steals energy. Yes. So yeah, the women that I have met that do not want to have sex with their husbands, it's always because they
Oh,
settled for
sorry, hang on a
that.
second. Sorry.
What happened?
Jessica asked a question. Do monks have blue balls?
Yes.
Um, I'm not saying that this is the reason why priests end up doing crazy fucked up shit,
But monks are
but
not
I
priests.
don't think no, but I haven't heard of monks abusing kids,
No, I
but
haven't.
I have heard of other religious types where they're not allowed
Okay,
to have sex,
the
right?
difference is access. If you are into that sort of thing, you want to be around kids, so you're going to get jobs where you interact with kids. A monk,
I
you're
agree.
not
I agree.
interacting with children.
That's what I think happens. Like, if you look at, like, okay, you look at cultures where sex with what we would consider underage kids is legal, right? Like,
Yeah.
you look at, let's say, parts of the Middle East, right?
Hmm.
When those cultures move to countries where the legal age is pretty much twice as old, right?
Yeah.
They have to adapt to a way of life where they're like, but I don't like those girls. I like these young girls, right? And they want to go
Mhm.
with kids who are like fucking 9, 10,
Well,
11, 12 years old, right?
whatever it may be.
I'm not saying anything that we're going to get a strike for. I'm not saying anything we're going to get a strike. I'm not using the words, right? But we know this is a
Oh my
fact,
gosh.
right? So when these ideologies spread to other places, um, and they don't have access to that shit, that's going to affect them in a big way. In a big way. You're going through a change where shit's denied to you that you have an appetite for. And on top of that, you have to pretend like you don't even engage in that behavior at all because you might be a holy man in that religion. Okay. And when you look at the statistics and you look at priests and you look at teachers and you look at
Mhm.
imams, okay, you tend to find that the more you have to adapt your behavior and control it and hide it, the more prevalent the instances of abuse are. Okay, because I think
Mhm.
that, like, if you look at those statistics, the ones that were published in the UK, and I think it was France and Germany, or was it? I think it might have been Greece rather than France. I'm not 100% sure. And in America, on average, if you average all that data out, I think that the instances of abuse in schools was about 4 times higher than in churches. Okay. And then, so I think it was churches had the lowest, even though the reporting was the highest on churches and on priests doing that stuff. Then I think schools was something like 4 times more. And I think in mosques, it was something like 40 times more. So if you look at it, the harsher the culture, the more kind of the focus and the spotlight is on you, because don't forget that within the Muslim community, they police each other. They really scrutinize each other. Like you get shit if you forgot to pray once a day, right? You're supposed to, I think, 6 times. And if you skip one time, you got people banging on your door thinking like, you're a shitty Muslim. Let's go and get the rocks, So the more stringent the rules are, the tougher the people are like policing you on it, the more fucked up the abuse is like that happens, because people just crack and they go fucking insane. So like you need a healthy outlet for shit. Whatever that outlet is, you need to find one, you need to do it, right? And if you try to like put a lid on something like that, which is, you've got a biological need to do it, you have to find a way of channeling that stuff. We know that. You've spoken about that before a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you think she had a good argument, but we have to put holes in it.
Well,
that's what a debate is.
You don't need to poke holes in that side of the argument. Find what it is. All you got to do is find one thing, chink away at it. Now, like I said, the problem for me is I agree with her on pretty much everything. But the thing that you need to understand is that doesn't mean that it's okay, number one. And the only way it's going to work out where it is okay is if we acknowledge that the production of it is wrong ethically, okay? The production of it is wrong. And also, we are hoping that the majority of people in society that are going to consume it are going to be responsible. So she mentioned the comparison to alcohol. And I agree that that's a comparison we should look at. Okay. If you make alcohol, you need to understand that number one, it's a drug. Number two, it's bad for your health. There's no kind of alcohol where it's okay to consume it like this. If you consume it like this, it can be really good. It's not like paracetamol. Okay. It's not like a drug where it's like, hey, look, this is good for you. If you take the right amount at the right time, it is going to help you, and it's going to be really good. It's going to take your pain away. It's going to drop your temperature if you've got a fever. It's a good drug to take. But if you take 10 of them, you're going to have organ failure. So paracetamol has a purpose, and it's good, and you should use it, unless you're allergic to it. Now, with porn or with alcohol, there is no way of saying like, well, with porn it's slightly different, but with alcohol, you can't say it's good if you drink it this much. No, it's not. It's always going to damage you in some way. It's going to fuck with your brain. It's going to fuck with your liver. It's going to damage you in some way. And even if you take a small amount, if you drink it that way your whole life, it will fuck with you later in life. It's never a good thing. But we enjoy taking it. Like with many things that are bad for us, we enjoy it. We like it. Sweet shit tastes good. It's bad for you though. Mm-hmm. So you need to understand that if you're going to say we're going to legalize alcohol, you're doing it so that people can, escape once in a while. It's a bit of escapism. You drink, you get drunk, it feels fun for a little while. It helps you socialize, it helps you unwind, it helps you relax, even though it's bad for you. But you're trusting that people are going to use it in moderation. You're trusting that people are going to police themselves. And we've seen in modern society that most of the time, the majority of people can, and they can be trusted with it. So much so that we've legalized other shit that's kind of even worse for you. And we said, okay, you can have this and you can have that. And in America, in some states, you can have weed, and like God knows where we're going to end up 10 years from now. But the thing is that you can't ever say the production of it is ethically good, because ethically you're making something that is going to kill people. Okay? Guns is a different thing. If you're making a gun, you're making something that can kill people, but you're also making something that can protect people and save lives. Okay? With drink, you're making something that, you know, if somebody drinks too much, they get in a car to drive home, people are dead. If somebody drinks too much, they lose their shit, they're violent when they're drunk, they can beat somebody to death. You're like, it's, whenever you make that shit, you got to understand this shit that I'm making, it's going to ruin more lives than it's going to save. So the production of it, you can't argue, is ethically good. I don't give a shit if you say, hey, you know what, for every barrel of, you know, rum we make, we plant a tree. And fuck off with that shit. We're carbon neutral. Piss off. It doesn't make a difference. You're making something, selling something that kills people. But we live in a free society. I don't want the government involved in my shit. So I want alcohol. So give it to me. I fucking pay my taxes. I work. I want to get drunk when I want to. Okay. And if you're going to say that's degen behavior, fuck you, because I know how to police myself. I don't need the government reaching their dirty little fingers into my fucking house. So as long as we can understand the production side of it, this chick, like I said, she's a whore with a brain, but she's still a whore. If she's making that content, you can't say, well, you know what, I'm a morally good person. No, fuck you. Well, I don't want to be rude. I want to say fuck you, but you're still degenerate for what you're doing. But at the same time, you're right that if people consume this in a reasonable way, it helps. But let's not pretend and play ignorant that you believe that everybody who consumes and everybody who pays your membership fee on your OnlyFans site is going to be a good person who consumes it in a good way. You're wrecking some lives too, and you fucking know it. So you can't say it's ethically produced.
Okay.
Wolf's friend said alcohol is valuable in the medical field. Yes, it is. I was talking with regards to consuming it, and if you consume medical grade alcohol, if you consume pure alcohol, yeah, it will kill you. And it's what's it called? Denatured alcohol, I think. The one that they use in hospitals. You can't drink that shit. But yeah, alcohol as alcohol, an antiseptic, a good disinfectant, and yeah, it's great.
Okay, I think I got something. I'm not going to say it.
You've got to do some fucking talking.
I know. I was writing down something. I think I got something, but I don't want to say it because I feel like it's good. And if I say it, they will know. Okay. So what do you think Andrew's rebuttal was to her, since you agree with her?
Well, I think if Andrew's going to play, if he's going to play, I hope he doesn't kind of, because I know that his audience love it when he kind of leans on the Bible and religion and kind of, gets to the moral argument and the religious argument. But I think that if he was going to play it sensibly, I would argue on that side of like, yes, there's people out there who are grown-ups. There's people out there who will consume it in a reasonable way and still go about their life, and it doesn't destroy their life. Like, people can be trusted with cigarettes, people can be trusted with alcohol, people can be trusted with drugs to one degree or another, whether it's prescription or whatever. So to say that for some reason corn is this kind of wild card that no, you look at it and you're bound for hell, I think is bullshit. Okay, I think that you can't make that argument. So the argument that I would go for would be to then target her and say, look, yeah, you know what? The majority of people out there who consume it will be consuming it reasonably and still be able to go about their daily lives. But you can't guarantee that your audience is entirely reasonable. And you can't guarantee that everyone who pays your subscription is living a normal, decent life and isn't harmed by a corn addiction. And you know that, which means that even if the majority of people out there are okay and good and decent people because they, you know, live a good life and only do that once in a while to de-stress, you are still an immoral piece of shit. So
How do I
if
say
his
that
problem is with the
nicer?
OnlyFans girls,
Uh,
sorry?
how can you say that
Oh, I'm sure he'll say
nicer?
it nicer. Well, I don't know that he will say it nicer. I think that that's part of the thing with Andrew is that he'll, you know,
Yeah,
he'll
yeah.
call her a piece of trash. But so I think that I think that you need to weigh it up that way. I told you before that my strategy would be to when we were talking about before I knew that Andrew was involved in this thing, my strategy would be personally, if it was my job, like, hey, you have to fix up society, I wouldn't target the OnlyFans girls. I wouldn't at all. I think it's a waste of time. You're never going to talk women out from doing this. And I don't think that you should make it illegal. I don't think you should ban it because I hate police states. I don't want the government to have more power, I want them to have less power. So I would say personally, leave it. If these girls want to do it, let them do it. We need to let girls make this choice if they want to do that, because it means that it's easier for the men out there to spot the whores from the housewives. Okay, so
The problem is
let
that guys keep marrying them.
Mhm. Yeah. The other sad fact of life is that we're not going to save all men. I'm sorry, but some men are going to make bad decisions, but that's because we live in a world where you don't have survival of the fittest anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't have survival of the fittest. I'm sorry, but civil laws, a civilized society, tolerance, and warning labels on everything have kept certain men alive who shouldn't be alive. We've got so many. I'm sorry, but we've got so many fucking genetic dead ends out there that should have died off a long time ago, but they're still out there reproducing. So let these people destroy themselves. I don't understand. I mean, I've debated a few times, only for pure entertainment, the idea of pro-life. Okay, I've debated that abortion debate so many times, and I only do it for entertainment value. I do not anymore. I did it when I was younger. I do not go out there to campuses or to Speaker's Corner or to other places, universities and shit like that. I don't do that anymore, debating people and trying to convince young kids in very liberal colleges here in the UK, and I've done it in America as well. I haven't done that for a good 15 years. And I look back on the time that I did, and I think it was a complete waste of time. Why? Because if those people who believe that want to have abortions, let them. We don't need more idiots like that reproducing. Let those people die off. I mean, if you think about it, if 20 years ago we stopped people from going to debate these people and trying to change their minds, maybe there wouldn't have been enough of them to vote in Biden. Who knows? It's only their side that wants to do that. Let them fucking do it.
Yeah, but you know, it's not just their side.
Well, the ones that aren't on their sides still share that same shitty ideology that I would consider leftist anyway.
Yeah, because I see there's a lot of women that pretend to be conservative or whatever, but
what are the key tenets, do you think, in conservatism? What do you
Support-
think are the things that distinguish a conservative from a liberal or a progressive? Because one of the things I constantly see on modern liberals or progressives, the constant thing that they have is the shirking of responsibility. They don't want responsibility. They don't want to accept accountability for anything. Everything is somebody else's fault, and everything is a problem that somebody else needs to fix for them. Okay. If you look at conservatives, one of the key tenets to it is that responsibility. Now, if you have that aspect in yourself, that understanding of responsibility, and if you follow that, you're not going to find yourself in a situation where you need an abortion. So this is why you tend to see the pro-choice people constantly on the left, almost exclusively on the left. Because the
yes,
whole
but
idea, the choice is
the vocal,
the
Daemon, the
pro-choice.
vocal. Then there's a secret
Sorry?
conservative. There's a secret conservative girl that's a boss babe that has her career. And then if she gets pregnant before her career takes off, she does what she needs to do in private and then preaches anti-abortion stuffs.
Look, you're going to have, I
A
agree
lot.
that
Like,
you're
that's
going
all
to
of
have
them.
acceptance.
That's all of them. That's all of them.
Yeah, but see, this is the mistake. This is the problem that you have when people are living life the way they shouldn't be living life. Okay. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have women in the workplace. I'm not like Andrew in that respect. I'm not like, women should be at home. All women need to be at home popping out babies. No, I don't believe in that shit. But women should not have that kind of responsibility in a company. Just because the fact is that they're a woman. I don't want a boss that has the potential to have to disappear for a good few months because they got pregnant. I don't want a boss that's going to have to probably be taken off a week of sick pay every single month because they got heavy flow. I'm sorry. I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't. Maybe not a week.
No, but it's even if they don't take off. It's not like, oh, because women get the periods and blah blah blah. It is because look, this is the reality: is women who are boss babes and work a lot and are very career oriented, they just take so much pharmaceutical drugs to like break their cycle, to like either not get a period, to like cover their symptoms, cover the pain, cover all the stress, try to make up for all the physical labor that they're doing, which is really not what we're
even when you see those women. So here's the problem. If you decide to medicate, right? If there is a woman who is in a position of authority, and I've seen it, unfortunately, I've seen it with the last 3 top bosses that were in the company that I worked with. The last 3 that I've had experiences with, I knew when they were on the period. I knew every single fucking time.
Everybody knows.
Every single time. Or with the exception. Yeah. But the thing is that they're like, but I can come into work and I can work. Yes. The problem is that with one of them, she was taking painkillers. She was taking stuff to try and like deal with it so that she could come into work. And for about 10 days, her productivity would be shit. It would be shit because the stuff that she's taking, she can't function properly. Now, the other one, I don't exactly know what she was taking, but I would notice about 6 or so days, 5 or 6 days out of the month, she's a pain in the ass to deal with. Not because she's got that, not because she's irritable or anything like that, but because she's got peaks and troughs of being lazy as fuck or super high strung and wanting to do a million things at once. And nothing gets done properly. Because I don't know what kind of uppers or downers she's taking, but the thing is that I know we've seen she's got a drawer and she's got like fucking 12 bottles of shit that she's taking stuff throughout the day. Like,
dude, it's all of them. And they always go,
it's not good. It's not healthy. Yeah, it's not good. It's not healthy. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be given that responsibility. You shouldn't. It's too much for you to fucking handle. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Like,
I'm okay with
it. If you look at the news, you look at politics, and I look, you don't, I know this sounds cruel. You don't belong in positions of power. You didn't earn that power. You didn't create the system that's there. You're coming to the table late and you're saying we want an equal seat at the table, but you didn't earn that power.
Look, and I know
And
that there's certain women that are very good with that stuff, but the fact that it is the rare exception proves that women in general should not have that type of responsibility. Just because a few here and there can make it work doesn't mean we should throw all of them there, because the reality is most people are going to completely destroy their health if you have to be in a state of chronic working. Women need to cycle every 28 days, and they have 4 different cycles. And that's 4 different women with 4 different capabilities, 4 different strengths, 4 different types of weaknesses. And that's going to continue until after menopause. After menopause, men and women in the workplace is the same. I can agree with that. That's why, like, if you're a grandmother, you finish, you had your kids early, you're done, you're in menopause, you're no different mentally than a man. So I'm okay with that. Like, I don't care anymore.
see, and the sad thing is that I kind of blame a lot of guys, a lot of young guys that I see arguing the same point, because when they argue it, like they get so passionate and heated about it, and you see them like, for example, like Tate, right? Tate sometimes does it because he just likes to be like
He likes
hyperbolic,
to piss people.
but
Yeah.
but the thing is that a lot of younger guys as well, they argue at it from a kind of us versus them attitude, and it's like they're hating on women. I'm not hating on women. I'm saying this. I do believe in a measure of equality, and I do believe in equality, but my idea of equality isn't the same as theirs. I think that you should have equal opportunities, but with the understanding of we are different. We are different. I think that we need to have the same kind of opportunities, but in slightly different fields to slightly different degrees. And when it comes to those leadership roles, I've been to, I've consulted and I've been in many different areas. Women consistently underperform in those areas, and it's because I care about women. I love women. It's because I care about them that I think they shouldn't be put in those positions. Because what happens is when they underperform, everybody suffers. It's not just the people that work under them that suffer. It's they suffer as well, because they know that they're not performing, but they want to be that boss bitch and they want to hide the fact that they're not performing. So then you have like this nasty little atmosphere that becomes, when everybody says there's toxic masculinity atmosphere. No. There isn't. I'm sorry. Most places that I've been to, and I've been to a lot, I've consulted at a lot of places, it's fucking
Toxic
women.
feminism.
All the toxic behavior comes from a woman in charge that pisses off everybody below them, and the women don't want to call out other women publicly, so the men end up doing it. So then they say these guys are bullies. No, you're just a shitty boss. All of these men are competent men and some competent women in the lower ranks that are working for a stupid fucking unqualified woman in charge, and she's ruining it. And when the men are calling it out, because men are the only ones who have the balls to call it out, they say there's toxic masculinity. No, just take the woman out of power and the problem will be fixed. It's not toxic masculinity. You're blaming the results of the fucked up situation on those who can't deal with the fucked up situation, rather than fixing the cause of it and calling out the cause problem. If you got rid of women in power, the toxic masculinity problem would disappear.
I mean, I've never seen toxic masculinity. I don't even know if that exists, to be honest. Like, what even is that? I think toxic masculinity has always been toxic feminism. Like, I want to do that without the responsibility. I want that power with no responsibility. That's toxic feminism.
I do when I see a lot of women now calling out toxic masculinity, so long as they're not doing it in the workplace. I can agree with 2 examples that I've been given. And I'll probably catch some heat for this and a little bit of something up front. Very early in my career, before I went into healthcare, I worked with young adults, children and young adults that had special needs issues. And many of them were autistic kids on the spectrum. And I mean genuine autistic kids, not like today's autistic kids. We're like, no, you're not
Today's
autistic. You're just a
autism.
fucking idiot. And you're spoiled and nobody fucking taught you how to behave properly. And so they're saying you're autistic. No, I mean genuinely actual autistic people. So when I was working with them, I have got a special place in my heart for those people. And I say this with love as well. I don't think that autistic people should be put in the workplace.
Hell no.
I think that.
Actually, I take that back. I take that back.
But you might say the same thing that I'm about to say now. I think that we should create some positions for them. I think that there should be positions that are created for them where we can cater to their needs better and give them a sense of. So here's something that we found worked very well with kids who are autistic when they got to that working age. Okay, most autistic kids, and when I say most, I mean an overwhelming majority of them. One of the things that we found in which they excelled and which was very, very, very good for their mood and helped control mood swings was to have a creative outlet. They are incredibly creative. The way their brains are wired, hugely creative.
But it has to be solitary, no boss hovering.
No. They can actually work together very well. They can work. Yeah, deadlines is the thing they struggle with. They tend to hyper focus and they're very detail orientated, which means that they take long time because nothing is ever perfect enough for them. They are perfectionists because they obsess. They obsess over things. So if you tell them this is how it should look, they're going to try and get it to look exactly like that. If they're drawing a picture, it will take them a fucking day to do one little picture because they're going to try and obsess over the lines and the details and the shading and everything. But gardening was something that they were that they loved doing. So I think, like, look, put them in public parks. Help get them to do like gardening work.
Throw them in the park.
No. But we have. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, we've got loads of royal parks. We've got a lot of royal parks, and they have teams of people working on them. This is a place where you can have autistic people doing that. Like, give them the opportunity to do that. Give them that work, and also because the reason why I think that would be a good idea in the UK is because they're supposed to get some kind of government funding. These are government-backed jobs that you could give to them. Okay, and that way you are covering that taxpayer money. You're basically saying, look, we need to find these people work to do to subsidize the money that we're giving them. We're going to give you some work to do and we'll pay you for it. But like, this is the work that you're going to do. And we've created a post for you for these kinds of people who can do that and they can excel in that and it will help them, will be beneficial, will give them some kind of independence. What I don't understand, everybody in government is always saying we need to do more for people with mental health issues. We need to do more for people with mental health issues. And the problems that they're calling out, they're never actually creating anything to manage it. They're not doing anything like that. And when you look at autistic people in the workplace, they just think, well, we can give them any job. We're going to tell each company out there, you need to hire 50% minority workers, you need to hire 20% gay people, you need to hire 15% retards.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
You can't make it work. What? You can't just expect that to work and magically happen. Because unfortunately, when you put them in a workplace and everything's highly charged, stressed, and it's for some of these people who are on the spectrum, it's the first time that they're going to find themselves in a daily situation with women. And many of these women are giving off that vibe of, I'm a boss bitch. They want to look sexy. They want to look independent. They want to look this. And women flirt in the workplace. And I'm sorry, flirting with autistic men is not a good idea. It never ends
Why?
well. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Because they don't understand flirting. They take everything very literally. They're not the best when it comes to interpreting nonverbal communication cues. So you can have a serious HR issue on your hands. And it's not their fault. It's not that there's some sexual deviance. It's that they're like, well, she wanted to do this. No, she didn't. She was flirting. It was innuendo. It was that they don't understand that, and they always end up getting punished for it and losing their job. And to take somebody who is a vulnerable adult, because that's what autistic people are, they are vulnerable adults, and to say, like governments have been saying because they think it sounds good for PR and shit, oh, these people aren't handicapped, these people aren't mentally ill, these people are normal, they're just different. Their brains are wired in a different way. And now they're trying to say that actually they're better than everyone else. They're more like, their brains are like more higher functioning, actually, if you look at it. And I'm sorry, no, that's not true. They're vulnerable adults, and you're putting them out in the workplace, and you're putting them in a situation where they could get put on a fucking register.
Yeah.
Because they do not understand that. They don't have the capability to function in those situations. And one complaint can make them unhireable for life and can destroy their life. So it's dangerous, and it's not fair. It's not fair on them. And yeah, the same thing is with women. Like you're setting women up to fail by putting them in these positions of power that they're just, unfortunately, they're not equipped with. They're not equipped for, sorry. But there's other shit. There's other jobs that they would be way, way, way better suited to than what men are. Like where we as men just wouldn't really be able to deal with that kind of shit, but women would excel in.
So do you want to see what Andrew responded to her with?
Let's go.
Let's get into it.
Thank you to both of our speakers for their introductory statements. We are going to get into it, and I do see that.
Stop. I just want to make sure I got this correct. Would it then not be the case that if society
this is where he's going to reframe her argument,
that would now be a new social contract based on their intuition, and you, based on your own harm principle, would have to concede that you should not do then porn, right? Because you'd be violating the social
majority of
contract.
people don't see porn as harmful
That's
or
not my
bad.
question. I didn't ask what is. I asked about.
Are you saying hypothetically?
Kat, can you put it back?
That would be.
Where?
Could it put it back where he tries to repeat her point and then say where he's basically drawing up the lines for his argument. Just put it back to where he starts talking.
Hold on, let me see.
But play it in normal speed for a little while.
That's as much as I could give you.
Then the frequency of
the negative outcome is.
I do see that James has been in our live chat and nipping some. Seems like there's a couple bitches, as he says in the chat, right? See, I'm trying not to get us in trouble, but you know what? Hang out, guys. Grab yourself a beer. It's going to be a long one, all right? You know, and if you're wondering what this is all about, that's right, I have a boot. We are going to be debating whether adult explicit content, as I'm going to put it, should be banned. So I'm going to head over to Andrew to respond to some of what he just heard. But in the meantime, I'd ask you guys to smash the like button and prepare those super chats because we are going to ask them at the end of the open discussions. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, so Dilly, I'm not a big fan of the egalitarian debate. I like to go down one line at a time so we can get it figured out. If we have consistency issues, we don't have consistency issues. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Could we
great.
start with defining pornography?
Well, actually, I think we need to start by defining harm. What is that?
Something that results in negative outcomes.
And how do we measure what a negative outcome is?
We can do that multiple ways. We can look.
Okay, go ahead.
Huh?
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
we could look at happiness. We could look at how a society is functioning in terms of maybe economic success.
Yeah. What way do you use?
What way do I use?
To determine harm.
To determine harm.
Yes. You don't have to repeat the question. You just answer the question.
What do you mean? What way do I use to determine harm?
What
This
metric
is so
would you
fucking
use
vague.
to
This is such a
determine harm?
vague way of arguing.
Well, I would use multiple metrics, not just one.
Okay, so if somebody was really happy, for instance, about, I don't know, unaliving themselves, is that harm?
Is it harm for someone to be happy about killing themselves?
Yeah.
Well, they would be causing harm to themselves by killing themselves, yes.
Yeah, so we should not have that, right? Or we should.
People probably shouldn't kill themselves, yeah.
Okay, and that's because of this harm principle?
Yeah.
Okay. If you had two brothers who were twins, okay, and they wanted to have sex with each other, can you give me a single reason that would be harmful?
There could be potentially some kind of power dynamics at play that could be harmful.
They're twins.
Twins? Maybe not then.
So you wouldn't have any objection to incest, for instance, under this worldview?
Well, I have an objection just on the level of like, yeah, I think it's icky.
Well, but wait a second. They're really happy. And how does it affect you?
Yeah, I honestly don't really care. Could we get back onto the topic?
We are back to the
pornography?
topic. I'm trying to figure out what your harm principle is. I'm not going to let you evade. So while I'm doing is trying to consistently...
I just said I don't care.
Yeah, that's great. I don't care. It's not an argument, and it's not a response to one, and it's not even a
like
position.
I wouldn't see that as like a morally. That was
What? What is he doing?
I honestly think he's wasting time while he's thinking about what his argument's actually going to be. I've seen him do this before. It's an okay strategy to kind of hide the fact that you don't have much of an argument. He's trying to look at gaps in her knowledge, and so far she doesn't really have any, and she seems to be doing a pretty good job by actually saying to him, look, get back on track, because he's not going anywhere with this right now. All he's trying to say is you can't measure what harm is. So you don't know if you're actually causing them harm. And this is why I said at the beginning, according to the reason why he doesn't have an argument here is because everything that she said at the beginning is actually in line with his principles, what he has said in previous debates and arguments. So maybe she did her homework on him. I don't know. But what he said in previous arguments, he's actually, I think, in agreement with most of the stuff that she said, because he understands the whole point of personal responsibility and choice and freedom. Where the issue is, like I said, was she thinks that you can create it in an ethical way. So according to her own principles and her own values, this perfect dream of, yay, masturbating is okay and it's a natural thing and most people can do it in a reasonable way, and we should trust most people because we trust them with McDonald's, we trust them with alcohol, we trust them with handguns, so maybe we should trust them with porn, right? Now, that's all well and good, and what Andrew just should have come out the bat with is, I agree with everything you said, that's all cool, morally, we judge ourselves, like we have to have personal responsibility. We understand, especially as Christians, that temptation is out there. And it's our responsibility to rise up above that and to avoid that temptation, not fall in those pit holes. That's part of the test of our faith. And it's not really a test. And we don't know if we're very good at it if our solution is we're going to get rid of all the temptation. No, if you get rid of all the temptation, then you're not being tested. Okay? So we have to understand the test that Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. Okay. So like you confront it. We can't say, no, I want to avoid the desert my whole life. I never want to be tested. And that way I'm going to go to heaven. No. How do you know that you deserve to get in if you've never been in a situation where you might potentially fail? So removing it isn't the answer, especially if you argue from a religious perspective. Removing it all and getting rid of it isn't the solution. All as we need to understand is we're all going to get judged. Okay? So according to her logic and according to his religious values, all as he needed to do and say was, okay, I agree with you, but as long as you understand that the majority of the people out there will probably pass that test. They've passed it when it came to alcohol. They passed it when it came to drugs and fatty foods and everything. They can resist temptation. We know some people can be good and reasonable. That's all good. But you, the girl that I'm talking to right now, you're going to hell. You can't create the shit that you're creating in an ethical way. Ethical corn. What's ethical corn? You're gonna stay dressed, sit next to a dude, and not fuck him? What kind of ethical smut are you gonna create? How are you gonna do it ethically? You can't. You're creating something which is fueling degeneracy. You're creating something, and it's a transactional sex thing that you're creating, which is smut, filth by definition.
Mm.
So what you're doing on your end is pure degeneracy. People might consume it in a healthy way because we understand that men, unfortunately, have that drive, have that need. And me personally, I would rather that some young kid going through puberty is jacking it off to an image on a screen rather than going out there and doing it with a girl and potentially getting her pregnant because he's too young to know how to be responsible. I think that for society, that's healthier. Have a porn outlet that you can jerk it to once in a while, reasonably, rather than putting yourself in a risky situation. I think that's a hell of a lot better. I think that's safer. We need to have some kind of understanding that, look, there is going to be this drive. We need to pick the lesser of two evils once in a while. But her end, she can't play innocent. Hopefully he's going to get on track and he's going to get there. But this whole idea of give me your definition of this, define me what that does, that's not going to help you win this argument.
Let me see what else he says. Maybe he changes it.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I think he's finding his footing. I think he's finding his
great.
footing.
I don't
He's
care. It's
feeling
not an
around.
answer. I'm asking you a question.
Well, no, it is because you're
immoral?
asking me if I
Is
find
it
it immoral. I'm saying I
immoral?
don't care.
Yeah. So is that no?
So I don't find it immoral.
So then the answer would be no, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So next time say no, and then I'll know that you actually mean no when you say that. Okay, so if somebody had a dead body in their backyard and they dug it up and had sex with it every day, and nobody found out about it, would that be immoral?
Yeah.
Why?
Because as a society, we've decided that we have some level of respect for the dead, and also it would probably harm the people who are related to the person who died.
I'm super confused. What if you're the only person who knows a dead body's there? They have no.
Well,
family
like I
member.
said, we as a society have deemed that we
What
have
if
like
the
some level
person
of respect for the
writes-
dead.
What if the person writes a note saying, I want to have my body had sex with after I'm dead by my son? Whenever he wants, he can dig me up and have sex with that dead body. Is
Yeah,
that
we could
okay?
also have someone say, yeah, I consent to someone eating me alive. I still think that is a level of harm that is unacceptable.
Yeah, but you haven't really told me why. You just keep saying, you keep on making these weird general allusions to we have society have determined, but the way we would use the metric under a harm principle for if society is doing the right thing or the wrong thing would be based on harm. So if society is doing something,
Yes, and I think for those particular things you've outlined, that is a level of harm that we deem.
Yeah.
The only place right now, because he's spiraling down this thing, the only way that he can save this right now is if the point that he's trying to make, and this is a very long-winded way of going about making this point, is if she gives the answer that the reason why it's bad, and if this is what Andrew's going for, the reason why it's bad is because you're harming yourself. You're not harming society. She's saying it's bad for society. I think the point he's trying to make is that if you do that, if nobody finds out what you're doing, if you can get away with it, but you dig up the body, as he was trying to say, and you have sex with it, what you're doing is you're harming yourself. You're becoming somebody that's so mentally fucked up that you're not going to be able to, over time, function normally in society because you're going further and further and further into this crazy way of behaving. So you're going to be spiraling and you're going to become a social pariah and an outcast. Maybe people won't know what it is that you're doing, but your behavior is going to become so degenerate that you're not going to be able to have a normal relationship, normal friends, and you're not going to be able to function properly. So you're destroying yourself, basically. And even if you never get caught, if his argument is going to be about having a soul and an afterlife, you're not going to go to heaven, right? So I think the point he's trying to make is if everyone's consuming your content and paying for an OnlyFans subscription and doing this behind closed doors, even if nobody else knows that they're doing it and they don't get caught and they get away with it, and they have this secret sex addiction to corn, right?
Mm.
They're harming themselves, and she's facilitating them harming themselves. If that's the argument that he's trying to make, and it's a very slow way of doing it, fine. But it still doesn't really change the fact that people should have that freedom. People should have the freedom, if they want to consume that. And if they're not responsible and if they're not reasonable, then guess what? They fail that test. They fail that test of moral decency. If they're religious, they fail that test of being a good person and potentially don't get into heaven or wherever, whatever afterlife they believe in. So the thing is that, like I said before, according to our own religion, you can't pay your way into heaven by eliminating all potential choices that could make you get to hell. That isn't the way it's done. You have to face up to the temptation and you have to reject it. You can't eliminate it and never face it. And I hope that that isn't the argument that he's going to make, because it goes against the values of Christianity. Now, the other thing is, if like I said before, that the whole point of this and the whole reason why the OnlyFans shit is wrong is because she's the creator. She's the creator. Like, we can give ourselves the freedom to consume shit if we want to and be bad about it or be good about it. But anyone who's the facilitator is the tempter in the equation. The tempter was Satan. So you being in the role of the person who's tempting, you are the bad person in that equation. Without you, the person wouldn't be tempted. Now, like I said, we need those temptations out there so that we can test ourselves and prove that we are good people. But that doesn't mean that, because you were part and because you were facilitating me proving that I can be a good person or turning out to be a bad person, that doesn't mean that you are also without sin. The person who's doing the tempting is also, a tool of evil in a way.
Let me see what else he says. Maybe he'll
Being
fix it.
unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't know why you're interrupting me. So if society is doing something which is actually not harmful, and they have decided that that's okay, right? Then I don't understand why you're not saying that society needs to let people dig up, Aunt Fester in the backyard and have sex with her body unless you can demonstrate who that actually harms. Because society would just be wrong then, right?
No, because as I've explained a few times now, we have a respect for the dead as a society, so that would be violating that kind of social contract.
I see. So society and society's moral intuitions become a social contract which we should adhere to.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as I change society's mind about porn being bad. And,
Sure. So let's begin. Could you
hang
define
on,
pornography?
stop. I just want to make sure I got this correct. Would it then not be the case that if society agreed that porn was bad, that would now be a new social contract based on their intuition, and you, based on your own harm principle, would have to concede that you should not do then porn, right? Because
Yeah,
you'd be
except the
violating the social
majority of people
contract.
don't see porn as harmful or
That's not my
bad.
question. I didn't ask what is. I asked about.
Are you saying hypothetically?
Yeah, I'm asking about an ought claim. That would be.
So this would kind of go back to like what I said about fast food, which is something that is obviously like objectively bad for us, but we still allow people the freedom to eat it as much as they want, even though it obviously has devastating outcomes.
Yeah, nobody's disputing that. So anyway, my question.
So my answer would be the exact same for porn.
Yeah, if society. That's not my question. My answer is my question is, since you say these things as a society, we deem them to be bad, and that's why they're bad. Not that they're bad because you think it violates a harm principle, then ultimately the arbiter of what you think is moral is society, right?
To an extent, we have societal rules, yes. So for example, if every single person who watched porn offs themselves, yeah, we probably shouldn't have porn.
Okay,
if we're going into hypotheticals.
You have to help me out here. I'm trying to figure this out. Is society the rule maker or is harm the rule maker? Like, which thing's the rule maker here? Which thing do you consider moral?
Kind of interchangeable.
Yeah. So which thing do you consider moral? Is it what society rules as moral, or is it what the harm principle rules as moral?
Well, society basically has we're the ones that have created the harm principle. It's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. So you have a view of what's moral and immoral inside your brain, right? Okay. So is that based on harm or is it based on what society says?
Harm.
It's based on harm. So
yes.
Then if something is demonstrated to be harmful, It's immoral. And if
No.
something is, I'm sorry, it's not.
No.
Why?
So like I said,
what?
from
Wait,
the
what?
very beginning. So
Uh-huh.
from the very beginning, I've stated multiple times,
Yeah.
there is a level of harm that our society deems acceptable. This is why fast food
I'm
is
asking,
legal.
yeah,
this
but
is
you're
why
just
sun
you're
tanning
switching
is
the
legal.
argument though. It doesn't make any sense. I asked
No,
you,
it doesn't.
what do you? I'm not debating. Am I debating with society or am I debating with you?
Wait, what part aren't you
Who am I
understanding?
debating with? Society or you? Can you answer my question?
What part aren't you
Yeah,
understanding?
so
What
I'm
do you
not
need me
understanding the
to
part
reiterate?
about who. Oh, well, here's what I need to reiterate. So since I'm debating with you about whether or not a thing ought to be done, I'm debating with
Would you like
your,
me to describe like what
yeah,
my moral
I'm sorry,
framework
did you just
is? Is that
ask
what you're
me? Did you
confused
just
about?
ask me to give you an answer and then cut me off while I was giving it to you?
Yes.
Okay, so would you like me to give the answer or would you like to go on a diatribe?
I would like to know if you want me to give you the moral framework that I'm working from.
Yes.
Is that what you? Okay, let's
For
go
harm.
with
Oh,
utilitarianism.
she's struggling.
Yeah, that's okay. So that would be a harm principle.
What do you think? I don't know.
He's struggling here. I mean, at some point, I know Andrew can be a good debater, and I know he's usually a good debater. But I feel like if he had a point that he was trying to make after this much back and forth, where it isn't really going anywhere, you have to shepherd her to the point that you're making. And the reason why I think he isn't shepherding her to the point that he's making is that he still doesn't really have a point yet. I'm not saying that she's a better debater than him, but I think that she's had this debate so many times
Mhm.
doing the job that she's doing that she has all of her bases covered. And I think that she's more experienced on this actual issue than he is when it comes to arguing her case. She's already not letting him do the thing. I think she's done her homework on him as well, because she's not letting him do
Yeah.
the things that he's usually doing. And he's getting frustrated. He's already done the thing of saying, are you going to let me answer my question or are you going to go on a diatribe? Dude, just argue your point. If you've got a point, argue your point. When he starts beating up on girls like this, it's because he doesn't really have a point. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be harsh on the guy. I like the guy. I do like the guy, and it's because I respect him and I know he's a good debater that I'm trying to I'm not giving him passes for little shit like this. She gave him an opening at the very beginning. She gave him an opening with her opening statement when she said, "We can produce this ethically." And for a guy who argues morals so much, I don't understand why he isn't ripping her the fuck apart on that point. You can't create it ethically. You don't need to argue harm principle. You don't need to argue harm principle. Okay? We understand what degeneracy is. We understand what filth is. Even if you're doing the lowest grade soft core shit, and we can say that there's people who can consume it in an okay way, if they can consume it in an okay way, which I agree they can, and I agree that it might even be completely harmless, we know that somebody might come along and see that, and they shouldn't be the one seeing it because it can damage them. It could be a kid. It could be an underage kid who's exposed to it by accident. She's at home filming this shit. She doesn't know who's logged on and seen it. It could be a kid who's of age. It could be a young or a legal kid, or I don't know, whatever age it is in your community where it's legal to watch that stuff. And what if they have a brother who's 3 or 4 years younger and they show it to him and they damage him? Okay? They expose him to something he shouldn't be exposed to. You are creating this stuff and you know that it could be used in a way that is harmful, or it could be used by somebody who isn't mentally competent enough to handle it and it could harm them. You know this. You know this when you sign up to create it, unless you're the most ignorant, stupid person out there. You know what you're doing is essentially frowned upon by society, but you decide to do it anyway. And because of that, and because of she understands that there is an element of shame to what it is that she's doing, because she's out there debating it. She's out there arguing a case for it. So she knows that it's shameful to some degree. And that is why you need to understand that her role in all of this is, like it or not, as the temptress, as the person who's facilitating the degeneracy. So yes, she is at fault. And before anybody says, but that goes against your earlier point, no, I don't think we should ban them. And I don't think we should get rid of her. I don't think the solution is shutting these girls down. I think the solution is making all of the men who consume this shit understand, you guys are pathetic. You guys are pathetic. Not just because you're stupid, because why are you paying a subscription to this person when you can get that shit for free? Okay, that's one thing. That's the dumbest thing ever. Why are you paying when you can get it for free? That just shows your stupidity. But you are pathetic because you can't go out there and get the real thing. So all of the effort and the time and the money and the energy that you're wasting on this shit, use it to improve yourself. Go out there and get the real thing. And I think that instead of shaming the women and trying to get them to stop, when you know that another whore is going to pop up and take her place, and you're just going to play whack-a-mole with whores that are just popping up all the time, don't waste your effort on that. Put your effort towards shaming the men and making them realize that they can do better and that they deserve better. As soon as you shame the men, the well's going to dry up for these whores.
I don't know if that's like a good enough.
It doesn't matter about if
argument.
it's good enough. It's the thing that logically makes the most sense. You can't fight the battle on two fronts, because so far we're talking about how many thousands of years of human existence, and this is the oldest profession in the world, and it still exists. So you have to fight the battle better. Okay? You've got cultures out there that are trying to stone whores and that are trying to castrate men, and you can't. You need to shame. It has been used quite effectively in the past 20 years to try and control the masses. How about we use it the right way? Because men who engage in this shit, that's what's shameful behavior. Women doing what they're doing, I'm sorry, but women for the whole of their existence have been trading on their sexuality. It's part of being a woman. You can't get rid of that shit.
Yeah, of course.
Trying to stop women from trading on their sexuality is trying to stop men from fucking. It's what you're built for. You are built to be beautiful and tempting, but you need to learn to tempt the right people for the right reason. You need to attract the man who's going to look after you and provide for you, right? Not to try and attract the man's bank account to sign up to your OnlyFans site.
But in their defense, would that be like, okay, because there's like two strategies for women. One is attract one high value guy and get resources that way, or her strategy, attract all the low value guys, and that would equal one high value guy's resources.
Yeah.
So like, how do you even argue against that?
By understanding, like I said, that you don't argue it. You don't argue it. If you're engaging in a debate with her, the only argument you need is, that's cool, go get your money, but understand that what you're doing is essentially evil. It's morally reprehensible, and you're facilitating the degeneracy that's out there. So when women are asking why there's so many bad men out there, why are there so many pieces of shit out there, why is it that there's so many men out there who don't know how to act right, who don't know how to respect women right, who don't know how to treat women right, why is there so much toxic masculinity? Understand, you're part of the problem. You're the answer to those questions, okay? Because you're the one that's fucking with their brain, making them think that women are just objects, making them think that they can just shop for women like fucking categories on fucking Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah. Swipe.
This is the one I want. Whip my dick out, jerk it. Yeah, you're a filthy piece of shit. Fuck you. Here, have some money on your OnlyFans account. And then walk away. And then every woman that they approach in life later on, they're going to be mentally conditioned into thinking that all they're doing is window shopping for the whore that they want to be with that night. So you're part of the problem. That's what you're creating. But yes, I agree that we should keep it legal because, you know, we need a free and fair society. But in any society where we have freedoms, like she pointed out in her own argument there against Andrew, society deals what a respectable and acceptable level of harm is. Okay? So we understand this is a level of harm that we're okay with, because we're going to trust that most people are going to be able to control themselves and not become porn addicts, right? But the facilitator to that potential harm is you. Okay? Anyone who does experience that harm has experienced it because of what you created, what you've contributed to. So there is no ethical way of creating this. You created it knowing full well that it was going to harm a socially acceptable amount of people. And you engaged in that contract knowing that. And you just admitted in your argument with Andrew that you did know that because you said it. Those words came out of your mouth. So as long as we understand that, yes, I'll allow this. Yes, you can have OnlyFans. Yes, we're going to trust that people can be responsible, but you're a piece of shit. You've facilitated this degeneracy. And you're the reason why there's so many women out there who can't find a good man.
Okay, but why is she the reason? Like specific?
I can't, at some point, you have to play a part in this. I've just explained it.
No. But look, this is how I'm seeing it. It's like, if whatever corn wasn't available, OnlyFans isn't available, would these men suddenly become high value men?
Of course not. Of course not. You can't say that you're a high value man just because you were never tested and failed. Okay? Imagine if you went through university or if you went through school and you never had a single test in your life. They said, we don't test kids here. And at the end of however many years that you attended that school or university, they give you a little graduating paper and say, well done, you've graduated now. You've never been tested. How are you going to know how capable you are when you go into the workplace? This is why Jesus went to the desert. Part of the reason why. You need to face temptation to prove that you can overcome it. Or you don't overcome it. And this is the way you find out whether or not you're a good man. So you have to be tested.
So how do you respond to her point that some of the most religious places have the most corn use?
Yeah, but because people are flawed. People are flawed.
But why is it more
and a lot of people, just because people are religious doesn't make them good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is a concept that a lot of people don't understand. You can be religious, doesn't make you a good person. Some of the shittiest people I know are religious. Some of the most annoying, terrible people who sin all the time and who don't know how to act right go to church almost every single day. And they think that that gives them a pass. I've been to church today. I'm a better person than you. No, you're not. You're a better person just because you went to church. A lot of people have their brains wired wrong about this. Many people know that they're shitty, go to church because they know that they're shitty and they're afraid. Okay, they're afraid that they're going to go to hell, especially as they get older. They want to make amends. They want to make things right, but they don't actually change. The only thing that changes in their life is that they go to church. They listen to a guy talk. They listen to a guy talk there for half an hour to an hour. But does that sink into their head? Do they actually understand what the person's saying? Do they take any of that on board? Do they modify their life accordingly? Or do they just say, I've given up an hour of my day, so I'm a good person now? You've got 2 billion people out in the world that say that they believe in the religion of peace, and they're the ones that are killing people more than anyone else. So how does religion make you a good person?
So I think she won. I don't know. Like, I just
So
can't.
I know that. So far I do, but here's the thing. Just because somebody wins a debate doesn't mean that the argument that they were making is the right argument. Okay?
Yeah.
Just because you win a debate doesn't mean that you're right. It means that you won a debate. But let's hear where this goes.
Okay.
Civil right?
Yes, and there are
Okay.
obviously harms that we accept within our
Yeah, but
society.
when you say we, I'm not interested in what we accept. I'm interested in what the
Because I'm interested in
person.
reality.
That's great, but I'm interested in what you accept because I'm debating with you. I'm not debating with a guy over there. I'm not debating with the moderator. I'm not debating with Steven. I'm debating with Diddley. So Diddley, I'm looking at your view for what is moral, what is immoral. From Diddley's view, is it immoral for two brothers to have sex with each other?
Can we get back onto the
Yeah,
topic
we are
about
on the
pornography?
topic.
I've already answered this question.
No, I'm not
Did you
asking
not
from
hear the
your-
first time?
I want
Did
to
you
make
not hear
sure.
the first time?
I want to make sure it's from your.
Did you not
view.
hear the first time?
No, because the first time you said society has blah blah blah, and then
No,
it
that was
becomes-
about digging up dead
okay,
bodies and
then
fucking
that
them.
too. That too. Is
I-
that immoral from your view?
If we need to reiterate,
I already stated it.
No,
Do
no,
have
you
hearing
said
issues?
society says
Wait.
blah. I'm asking from Diddley's view. Is it immoral?
Yes, and I agree.
Why?
That,
Why
that is
would
my
it be
stance on
immoral
it.
from your
I've
view?
already wait, Ryan, can you? I already explained this, did I not?
No, no. So
He's
listen,
floundering.
I'm going to ask you again.
Yeah.
Just
Just
be
need to
quiet for a
reiterate,
second. I'll reiterate the question. I just want to know the answer from your view without you shifting it
That
to
is my
society.
view.
So- okay, well, I don't know.
I
'cause
gave
I've
you
asked
my
the
view.
question.
Just
I've
hold on
asked
one
the
second,
question.
Diddley. We'll let him ask a question.
So I'm going to ask the question. What I'm asking specifically is this: from Diddley's view, not society's view, not Joe's view, not anybody else's view, from the view of a utilitarian harm principle, somebody had a contract from grandma saying he could hump her as much as he wanted after she was dead. Okay. And there was no reason that would lead to any type of contagion to anybody else. From your view, is that immoral?
Yes.
Why?
As I stated earlier, it is violating the way that we respect the dead.
No. Wait, that makes no sense. You're making now an appeal again to we.
Okay, sorry. I respect the dead.
but why? There's no harm.
Well, no, I believe that there is.
What's the
Is that-
harm? What is it?
That is the harm being done.
What is it? What's the specific harm? What is it?
They're
The
separating the
specific
body.
harm is that you are in complete violation of social contract.
Wait a second. A social contract. So if
Mhm.
it's a social contract, then again, you're deferring once again away from your harm principle to some type of societal principle. That's really weird. From
Yeah,
your
so we have
view,
societal
the harm
rules.
reductionist. You just told me that your moral prism revolves around utilitarianism and harm
Mhm.
reduction. I asked you
So
what's
that
the
would
harm.
that would fall under rule
Yeah, so I
utilitarianism.
asked you what you just read that from your own chat. You couldn't even tell me what.
I don't
rule
even
u-
have a chat
I'll tell you
open.
what. Tell me what rule utilitarianism.
Wait,
is.
what?
Tell me what rule utilitarianism even is. Put your hands up before you Google it, though, because I know you're Googling.
Oh God.
Now, tell
Okay.
me,
Okay.
what is
He's
rule
losing this. He's
utilitarianism?
losing this terribly. He's losing this terribly, right? So, okay, what he's done here is
Mhm.
she's saying, can we get back on topic? He's saying this is the topic. No. What he's done is he's moved the goalposts of the debate into a completely different area to this argument that he constructed, which at first he made it seem like it's related as a hypothetical to the argument that she's making. And he wants to use it to understand what metric she's using to judge, like the harm principle. And then he brings up this example and he's saying he led us to believe that this is a point that he's making that he'll come back to try and pick apart her argument. Instead, this is becoming the argument that he's trying to point score on now. And now he's using kind of flowery language, talking about utilitarianism and all this shit to try and basically say, look, these are all the things that I know about when we're doing debate speak, which you don't know about. And he's trying to score more points on her this way to try and make it look like, oh, he gets a win. Because if you look at his chat, this is when all of his little kind of, fangirls are saying like, oh, he's wrecking her. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, he's wrecking her. But with nothing that's related to the actual argument that we're debating here. And this is why I told, when we did debate prep with Jake, I said, don't be a contrarian. Don't be a contrarian. Okay? When you're in a debate,
Mhm.
there's this understanding that if you're debating somebody, you have to disagree with everything that they believe in. You don't have to disagree with everything. You can say, I agree with you on 99.9% of the stuff. Here, this one little thing is my point of contention. That's where I think you're wrong. And you expound upon that. You build your whole thing around that. And that's what you attack them on. Okay? And usually it's very easy for you to win those debates. Why? Because you agree with 99.9% of the shit that they do. So you can very easily sway them on that 0.1% that differentiates your point of view from their point of view. And if you can pull them onto your side because of that 0.1%, because you think everything else that we have in common is in line, everything else is in line with one another. What I believe, what you believe, we agree on all of those things. That 0.1%, I think that this one little issue that I have is perfectly in line with the rest of my logic, but it doesn't sit right with what you believe. So I think that I can sway you on that. I think that you made a mistake on this one thing. And I think that we could, if you speak to this girl, I think that you could very easily get her to believe I still want to have my job. I still want to make money because I'm pretty and I'm young and I've got loads of people subscribing to me, and I'm very photogenic, and I know that loads of people are, you know, desperate out there, and I can capitalize on them, and I want to feel good about what I do. And I know that I'm not really harming most people, and because society is kind of okay with corn right now, we've reached that threshold of acceptable levels of harm. So, you know, OnlyFans is legal and I'm not breaking any rules. So why shouldn't I be allowed to do it? And if you say to her, you should be allowed to do it. We live in a free society. People have choices. We need to understand that people are accountable and need to police themselves to some degree. We don't want this overarching big daddy government telling us what we can and can't have. That's all that's all good. So, like, you know, you go, girl, empowerment, girl power, all that shit. Just understand that you're a slut. That's all. Just admit you're a slut. You know, you can wipe your tears away with all the fucking money that you're making, but understand that what you're doing is contributing to the degeneracy that's out there. There might not be loads of degeneracy because most guys know how to behave, but if there are shitty bad guys out there that disrespect women, that beat on women, that kind of, you know, shit on women, and when we kind of arrest them, if the police goes through their house and their belongings and find out that they kind of got a corn addiction, just understand that what you're doing is partly responsible for that. Okay? And if you can accept that, which I'm not judging you for, because I also have to understand that, you know, the ethics of the society that we live in has said that it's socially acceptable for you to do this. It's acceptable for you to do this. But the burden of responsibility and guilt lies with you. Not all of it, but a portion of it lies with you. You are part of the reason why that sin is out there in society. And if you can accept that, then that's cool. And I respect you for accepting that. I respect you for at least understanding that you are partly responsible for that sin that's out there. And I'm not going to say that you're an evil, terrible person, but maybe once you die, there'll be someone else that will tell you that.
Jeez. Okay, hold on. I think I have something I will tell you after. Let me see what he does.
So reducing harm is good, and reducing bad things is good.
You don't know what rule utilitarianism is?
No.
Do you? Oh,
No, I
okay.
do.
Tell me what it is. What is it?
So actual utilitarianism would be like, there are certain situations where, for example,
I'm asking
punching
about
someone could be
rule
good.
utilitarianism.
Yes, and
I
I'm
don't care
getting
about
there.
act utilitarianism.
Wait, I'm getting. Can you let me answer the question?
Glad we moved
So
away from
act
the necrophilia.
utilitarianism
Let's go down.
is basically, yeah, certain situations might call for things that might be morally wrong, could potentially be good. So, for example, killing someone could be good if it turns out that that person grows up to be Hitler. Rule utilitarianism would not be in agreement with this, because killing someone is generally always immoral.
What?
Does
That would be
satisfy you?
no. That would be
Your
the
answer?
difference between deontology and utilitarianism. It has nothing to do with rule utilitarianism. You gave me a deontological ethic. What is rule utilitarianism?
Can you describe it for me then?
No, I need you to. You said you're rule
I just did.
utilitarian. Okay, so to get this right, murder's always wrong.
No.
Okay, well then you're not. What are you talking about?
Wait, what?
You're a rule utilitarianist. You said
Yes.
killing Hitler would always be wrong. Why would killing Hitler always be wrong for you, the rule utilitarianist?
Well, because it would be from the perspective that murder is wrong.
So why is murder wrong? Even if it
Because
reduces harm?
that's the social contract, yet again.
What? What are you talking about?
Can we-
Wait, hang on. I
Can we
gotta
actually
make sure
start
Oh,
discussing
God,
this?
yeah,
point?
he's-
right now, we're just talking about basic
Yeah,
ethical
he's
frameworks. But we get
floundering.
into the debate. I want to ask. So just to get this right,
So that's probably why it took 3.5 hours.
He is losing this so badly. He's point scoring with none of the actual points that should be available for what this debate is about. This is so ridiculous. This is so absolutely ridiculous. This is kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing, especially because it's kind of painful to watch, because I actually agree with the side that Andrew should be arguing, and I disagree with her because she's an OnlyFans girl. But this is painful to watch. This is, oh God. If anybody, I hope Andrew doesn't see this, because I like the guy and I don't want to be shitting on him. But and fuck, I couldn't debate a lot of the shit that he debates, but this is, Oh man, this doesn't look good. You dragged the argument somewhere else where you thought you could score points. Just let her talk. Just let her talk. I know it's boring, but the Socratic method is sometimes good. Just let her talk. Ask her questions. You know, let her talk and let her sink herself. Let her expose herself as a degenerate. All you got to do is like, you don't need to drag her onto your familiar territory where you can, oh, sorry, on your familiar territory where you can argue this pointless shit that's got nothing to do with the argument. Oh man, just keep it on topic. Let her talk. Let her run her mouth. You don't need to come out swinging straight away. This is why I said to Jake, don't be a contrarian. Don't be a contrarian. If you try to see everything as a nail that you got a hammer, it's gonna waste all of your energy. Let her talk. Wait for her to make the mistake. It's very easy, especially when you know that you're on the right side. If you know that you are defending the correct side, the side that's backed up with truth or moral righteousness, right? If you know that you've got that right on your side, let the other person talk. They're going to expose themselves. Wait to strike. You don't have to come out swinging right away.
So you think it's over? He's lost, or do you want to skip
No.
ahead?
He could probably pull it back. It went on for 3 hours. I'm sure that she probably, like, I'm sure that she couldn't have talked for 3 hours against Andrew without making a mistake and for him to capitalize on it. But it shouldn't take this long. Jesus, this should be like a half an hour debate max.
You said a rule utilitarian would say against an act utilitarian, you can't go back in time and kill Hitler because that's wrong. Why is that wrong?
Because killing is bad.
Why? Even if it reduces harm?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you are violating someone's personal autonomy.
Even if it reduces
and violating
harm?
someone's personal autonomy is morally bad.
Okay, why? If it reduces harm to violate autonomy, why would that be bad?
Because violating someone's personal autonomy is like detrimental to their well-being.
Wait a second. If you violated Hitler's personal autonomy, thus killing Hitler, you would save the lives of millions upon millions of people. How's that not the ultimate
this
in
is
harm
such an
reduction? You're
old
saying that we
argument.
shouldn't do
It's
that
still an
because
evil.
you would
That's
violate
why.
his personal autonomy?
It's annoying. It's boring.
It's still an evil. It's just the lesser of two evils. You can't say I killed. No police officer goes home and says, "Yeah, I feel so good about myself today. I killed somebody and thereby saved 5 or 6 other lives." Right? You know it's wrong. I killed somebody. I took a life. It's evil, but it was the lesser of two evil. I did it to save 5 or 6 other lives. That doesn't make what I did right. It just made what I did the lesser of two evils. There are 5 or 6 people out there living because I killed this one bad dude. Okay? But you still need to understand it's wrong. Oh, Jesus. And I don't know why he's arguing utilitarianism when it comes to morality, because it's not really a great theory of morality. Because at the end of the day, all it is, it's about it. Utilitarianism is basically actions which are going to increase happiness. That's all it is. I don't know if I would want to call that a system of morality, because what's going to make you happy? You know? If we all just did shit that made us happy, do you think we'd be living in a perfectly moral society? I don't, personally. I mean, but then again, like, utilitarianism gets thrown around a lot. Like, you know, some people would argue it more to be, some people misunderstand it or mischaracterize it. Like, you know, if you look at how the word is used in language rather than philosophy, it's usually like it's something that's practical rather than, you know, pretty or nice. It's just practical. You know, Germans are very utilitarian. Like, you know, everything that they engineer or do is just like all about practicality rather than, you know, other shit. But if you're talking about philosophy, it's more to do with that kind of maximizing happiness and, you know, reduce the things that are going to bring sadness around. But
All right, I
yeah.
want to skip ahead to see if it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Let me go over here.
Some
To be
people in
honest,
chat
we're
just like to
probably way
talk about the chat though.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm understanding everything because I don't know when some of this shit came through. Sorry, I wasn't following it.
Okay.
But
Well,
are you
yeah,
for or against
I've been.
OnlyFans?
Okay, hold on. Which one? Where
Are you
you?
for or against OnlyFans, Cat? Yes or no? For or against?
In reality or for the debate? For the debate, I'm supposed to be on the against side.
No, you don't have to be. Did she tell you what she wanted you to argue, or can you
Yeah.
pick what you want to argue?
No, she told me.
Well, that's not really good. Like, what if you don't agree with that?
Well, she needed someone, so I gotta step up.
You can still say, look, I'm going to argue, but I'm going to argue something that I believe in, but I'm going to argue a point that I disagree with this girl on.
Okay. So these are some of my ideas. Tell me if you think it's crazy. So I want to do like the fine, you're an adult, you could do whatever you want, whatever. Yes, it's going to affect
Please
your
don't say
future.
whatever in the debate.
Why I can't say whatever?
Don't say whatever in the debate. It makes it sound like you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about, Damon.
Oh, fuck me. Just tell her that you've lost already.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it based upon the fact that OnlyFans has seeped into culture to the point where children know about it, can see it, and yes, even if they cannot get into the whole thing, they are previews. They do know what it is. These people, like obviously, you cannot make money off of that platform unless you become like some sort of influencer on another platform. So what a lot of these girls are doing to get subscribers is they're going on other platforms where everybody can access YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, like a open platform that's not based on that. And then they're getting notoriety. And then as soon as they get some fame, then they say, now check out my OF. And then they start posting sexy photos, doing plastic surgeries, perpetuating this Kim Kardashian plastic surgery Barbie doll blow up doll look, and then all kids see this and they go, oh, her cooking show wasn't enough, her ASMR videos weren't enough, she has to do this in order to make money and be successful. Therefore the path to success for every young easily influenced girl now is I gotta be a skank worker, you know what I mean? So like that's my thing with it, because it's not like before when you're just doing regular old corn from back in the day, you would go straight away into that, and then you would sign up with some company and they would promote you and stuff like that. But now, since you have to like promote yourself because you're your own boss, you're so empowered, so you have to empower yourself on platforms where children are present. Sometimes they're the ones who are following along with you, and then they're finding out that you're starting this, and then they're figuring out what that is and that you need to do that. So that's more like my problem with it, just how you become popular on it. What do you think?
I think you need something that's going to, okay, look, if you're going to debate this, you have to talk about shame. You have to focus on something that's going to show that the reason why it's wrong isn't necessarily about harm, but about indecency. I don't know if Andrew intended this or not, because I didn't see where his argument was going. But the question about if you're alone or if you're two brothers on your own that nobody else is seeing what they're doing and they're both okay with it, would you get it on with each other? Like, is there something wrong with that? Who's getting harmed? The whole argument about if there's somebody on their own that nobody can see what they're doing and they do something that's degenerate and disgusting, but they're happy, they enjoy doing it, and no one else is getting hurt. Like, no one's getting hurt, right? Ultimately, who they're harming is themselves. You don't know when you're harming yourself. This is the problem with addiction. The problem with addiction is that you think that you're okay. You are happy when you're indulging in your addiction. You feel satisfied when you're indulging in addiction, you're giving into that temptation, but you don't realize that you're harming yourself.
Sorry.
What was that?
Hold on, I'm telling someone to go away.
Okay.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh, and I do want to address this. What happens in the privacy of inside the home remains inside? No. What if it's a crime? It doesn't make any sense. What if
Well, no, but
what if,
that's the.
what if I'm
I think
burying
that-
someone in the backyard?
I think they're making the argument that if you keep it behind closed doors and no one's getting hurt, right? No one's getting hurt, then it's okay. But the thing is that society was telling this to gay people years ago. Like we're talking like around 50 or 60 years ago,
Yeah.
when homosexuality was illegal in many parts of the West, right? So around 60-ish years ago, in many parts of the West, in the UK, and I'm not sure about America, what year it was, whatever, but homosexuality was illegal. And you'd either be put in prison or you'd be put in a mental asylum. And then it was legalized. Now, when it was legalized, the way a lot of people felt about it was, I don't care if you are or if you aren't, but just keep that shit behind closed doors. If it's behind closed doors, it's not going to harm society. Just keep it behind closed doors and we're all going to be okay. But look at where that's led. Look at where that's led. It's led to the point now where it's branched off into all this other shit. And also the fact that we were tolerant about it meant that it went from being legalized but still frowned upon to being tolerated, to being accepted, to being defended, and then to be celebrated. Okay, so we went from, in the space of
And
60
then the
years,
final form was being shoved down your throat no matter what show you
Yeah.
watch on television.
So the thing is that, like, you know, they're like, we've known, I don't know if you guys have heard of it or even pay attention to it, but in Europe we are unfortunately assaulted once a year with this thing called the Eurovision Song Contest. And we've known, anyone with a brain that's had to be exposed to this disgusting shit has known that the Eurovision Song Contest has basically been like a second gay pride festival that we have to deal with every year. It's been gay for a good 30 or so years. And only now we had a presenter who kind of made headlines a little bit, because he made the statement basically saying something along the lines of, this is ours now, like Eurovision is gay now, like the gays have like taken it over. It's like, dude, the gays took it over before you were even fucking born, right? It's we've known this, like, that you every year, like, it's been getting gayer and gayer and gayer. Like, I mean, last year there was like a whole bunch of trannies on it, and there was a whole bunch of openly gay people. Like, there was people who were wearing bondage gear, like leather daddies and shit that were up there. It's the gayest. It's probably gayer than gay pride, and we're supposed to act surprised by this. But this is the thing, like, when you allow it to go on behind closed doors, it will fester and metastasize into something much worse. And this is the point where the reason is because when it's happening behind closed doors, somebody is still getting harmed, and that is the person that's engaging in it. Like, oh, you've got a crack habit, it's okay, just do it behind closed doors, don't do it here, don't bring it to work with you. How can you expect them not to? How can you expect them not to? It never stays just behind closed doors, because every day that you see that person, even if they're not engaging in that behavior, their brain is going to get remodeled day by day by day by what they're doing behind those closed doors. So you're harming yourself. An addict isn't only an addict when he's engaging in his addiction. It's a transformation process. And if you say we're going to allow it in society because we think the minority are going to, be responsive, like the minority are going to be able to control themselves. The minority that engage in this behavior are going to be able to control themselves. And most of that minority are going to be responsible. So we understand that there's a tiny minority that are going to be self-harming from this, but we've deemed it an acceptable level of harm. What you forget is that acceptable level of harm is going to grow. It's going to metastasize over time. It's going to damage these people more and more and more. And those people are going to think, because they do it and it's okay, it's an acceptable thing in society as long as it's behind closed doors. They're going to engage with others that do it. It's going to spread. And then pretty soon, you're going to have a new type of their kind of pride parade out there. And 60 years later, potentially, most of society is going to celebrate and push down your throat that depraved behavior that they're doing. And do we really want to allow that? This shit that's happening with online OnlyFans shit and AI girlfriends, who knows what kind of fucked up society shit we're going to see 60 years down the line from now because of this.
I mean, I think it's going to be like all the guys that the women don't want, which is unfortunately most guys. They're going to end up with the AI and the robots, and they're not going to reproduce, and they're just going to be gone.
Yeah, there could be that, but the problem that I see isn't necessarily with the guys that get taken out of the equation. That was a foregone conclusion. Yes. The problem that I have is the majority of women that are going to be engaging and capitalizing on this. Because you're going to have a minority of men who are going to take themselves out of the equation because of that. If you think that the majority of men are going to get attracted to this, you're mistaken. It's only a minority of men that are going to engage in this shit. I mean, it's still going to be a lot of men, but comparably, to the population, it's going to be a minority. Most men aren't going to fall into this trap. But I think that it's going to be far, far, far more women that are going to be creating this shit and capitalizing off of it than there are men that are going to be out there. Because the supply is going to outweigh the demand. That's the thing. There's going to be some men out there that are going to be willing to throw their money at these people. But I think that there's going to be way more women thinking this is something easy. This is so easy for me to do. Just create an account, take some pictures, upload it, and people are going to pay me. It's an easy thing to do. Think about it. Women are out there taking pictures of themselves all the fucking time anyway. Ever since we put cameras on phones, women's narcissism has been attracted to that prospect.
Yes, but only a certain subset of women can
a certain subset of women. But as your comedian pointed out, all of a sudden the internet and a bunch of black guys made fat women think that they're attractive. So now you have all women doing this shit.
I definitely don't think it's all women.
Oh, fuck me. I'm sorry. I can't.
I think
all
shapes and sizes, but not all women.
Okay, maybe not all women, but the overwhelming majority of women under the age of 30.
I'm trying to think. I would say the pretty ones and the narcissistic ones. Yes. But there are some not so pretty, not at all narcissistic ones that are not.
Kat, I think that a lot of women today under the age of 30 are narcissists.
A lot more than there ever have been.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
I think back in the day, like when I was younger, we didn't have filters, we didn't have good lighting, we didn't have all this stuff. So you couldn't get, even if you were born a narcissist, you could not get any sort of validation to give you that confidence, because there was no place to put your photos and get a validation. And people would just look at you, and if you weren't that attractive, they just kept walking. They didn't give you the time of day. So if you were a narcissist, we didn't know about it because you couldn't be validated. Now, because you have the filters, because you have, you know, all the surgeries and all that stuff, the makeup, the good lighting, they do a lot more to the photos and videos than ever before. Now you have people who are narcissists, but they didn't have the looks before. And now they can finally lean into that. And I think that's what we're just seeing, because those people were hidden from society. How would you bring this to me? I don't want it. Okay. He's trying to make me fat.
Nothing new.
He came over here with this big eclair. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? What's going on here? We're trying to be healthy. Anyways, so yeah. What are you guys fighting about?
What's he fighting about?
They're fighting about the age of consent versus the age of marriage or something. Everything. Okay. That's nice. Fight. What is this? Here. So do you want to see what Jake is doing, or do you want to finish looking at this?
Let's finish this quick, because what is Jake supposed to be doing? Just quickly tell me.
He's with Cheeks.
Doing what?
Just talking crap or something?
Let's finish this, because I want to see how it ends. I want to know if Andrew actually makes a point and, I mean, takes her apart.
Okay, let's see. I think he leaves right around there. So I think right here is the most views. Let's see.
Over on our on our allowable YouTube limit here. So
Okay. I'll try to keep it within the confines. I don't.
No, I'm saying, like, fuck it, forget about it. Like, I'm not going to censor anymore, because I think we're already well outside it. I don't even know why I'm bothering, honestly. So let's just thank you, everybody. Dylan Dishner says, when Andrew asked her to define a rule utilitarianism, sorry, gee, I can't talk. Diddley's diddler voice started shaking hard.
Yeah, she never did. She
I
didn't
have
know
a
what
bit
it
of a
was.
cold, so that's why I've been
See,
muting.
exactly.
No, you
this
just didn't know what
is the point.
Utilitarianism is. If you do, like, I'm
What?
actually willing to stop.
I told you, he's got all of his little fangirls that are backing him up for when it looks like he's scoring points. Oh, he asked her what to define what that what was it, utilitarianism? He asked her to define what it was, and her voice started shaking. Yes, because she's not talking about that. She didn't claim to know about philosophical moral rules of thought. She never said that she's going to understand every school of moral thought. Like, so that's not the claim she's making. That's not the argument that you're having. If you're scoring points that have nothing to do with the game that you're playing, like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You're not going to play a 5-card Charlie if you're playing poker. One's blackjack, one's poker. You're not going to start playing, skipping over people's chess pieces like you're playing drafts. You're not playing drafts. You can't play the game that way. You're not going to kick somebody if you're doing boxing. Stop trying to score points that have got nothing to do with the argument that you're in. He couldn't beat her on the debate on the opening statements that she was making, so he decided, I'm going to play semantics with you. And I'm gonna move the debate here, and I'm gonna fight the debate there. I had a debate with Teriak on Jake's channel a long time ago, and Andrew came into it. We had a fun argument, but he tried to take the argument somewhere completely fucking different. And I kept saying to him, "This is the position that I'm having." He tried to reframe my argument. He tried to move my goalposts. Well, not even my goalposts. He tried to move the position that I had. He tried to get me to move my position. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to move my. What do you think you're doing here? Like, it's almost like you're boxing somebody and they're dodging you, and you're saying, "Excuse me, can you stand over here and don't move so that I can punch you over here?" Like, what? I'm not fucking born yesterday. Like, what's going on here? And the funny thing is in the end, he was arguing so passionately. Again, because like in this debate, it went on for a good few hours. And I think without even realizing, he made my point for me. My point was, well, I'm not going to go into it, but he basically argued with me, and he got kind of a little bit fed up and said, you don't need to measure this thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, you don't need to measure it, but to make the statement that you're trying to make, you do need to be able to quantify this thing. Otherwise, you can't say that one is worth more than the other thing if you can't measure it. And he was like, you don't have to measure it. I'm like, I agree. He said, like, you don't have to measure it because you can't measure it. Good. Yeah, that's great. I think the problem with doing what he's doing is when you move away from the debate that you're having, you forget what the original topic is about. And when you forget what the original topic is about, if you pull the debate away to a place where you feel more comfortable arguing, you might end up making a point that actually backs up the original point that they were saying, because you've pulled it away and away and away. And when you're arguing like that, arguments tend to have a way of coming around full circle. And when it does come around full circle, you better hope that the stuff that you ended up arguing wasn't something that proves that person right. Because historically, if you look at a lot of great debates, that's what ends up happening. That is actually what ends up happening. And some of the stuff that he's saying here, and some of the arguments that he's making, which seem to be advocating for the idea that even if you do shit behind closed doors and you think you're not hurting anyone, so you're trying, you think you're making a point to try and prove the harm principle, like in how we're going to judge what harm is. If the only person that's getting harmed is themselves, then you have to kind of look at her and say, well, look, only the people that are consuming my content are going to end up getting harmed. And that's their choice to make. They can either harm themselves or they can't. I'm just the one putting the content out there. The point that he should be making is you're putting the content out there. So is what you're doing ethical or not? In what way is what you're creating providing any kind of good? How can what you do be considered in some way a good thing morally? Because if I said to somebody, I'm going to argue against the fact that you're producing guns, you're making guns, and if I say that's evil because guns kill people, your argument can be, but they also save people's lives. They can be used as a deterrent. They can be used to save your family, to defend yourself and your property and your everything that you hold dear from one crazy guy who comes in, who wants to axe murder you, right? You fire that gun one time, you don't even need to kill him. Maybe he runs away. You call the police, you say there was some crazy dude here with an axe, they find him. They arrest him. So this proves that what you're creating doesn't necessarily have to result in harm. It can be used to defend. It has the capability to create harm, but it can also save lives. So in this case, we argue it's down to how the person uses it, but it has a potential for good as well as a potential for evil. So now if we're going to talk about corn and she's producing that, we have to say, look, does it have a potential for good as well as a potential for evil? In what way can you use corn in a way that brings about, like if you want to take it back to utilitarianism, how can it bring about a good result? Not necessarily happiness, because obviously, yes, while you're doing it, it makes you happy. But in what way is it a morally good thing to consume porn? And if she can't give you the answer, then she's fucked. The only thing she can say is, well, it puts money on the table for me and I can provide a good life for my family. I'm sorry, that doesn't outweigh the smut side of it and how it damages people in that way. Objectifying women, polluting your brain, making you long-term disrespect women if you consume it. If it results in addiction as well, destroying your life, blah, blah, blah. There's other ways for you to make money. It doesn't have to be that. So don't say it provides a good life for me. There's other ways. You're not a retard. You can do other things to make money. So you saying, oh, well, it provides you, like, that's just greed. Greed isn't a good thing. So making that argument is not a good thing. That's greed. So give me a moral good for how, give me an example of how corn can be a moral good. If you can't do that, then that means the only thing is that it's a moral evil. And you're the facilitator of that. You're the provider of that. So, I mean, I'll watch this. I'll watch this debate in my own free time. Hopefully, he ends up making that point.
Tuh.
I mean, if you can skip through it.
Let's see.
But I mean, I hate to say this. Maybe it was an off day for him. But like, wow, I never thought that I would have seen an OnlyFans girl basically best him in a debate. Even if he makes the point later on, I'm sorry, but damn, like I said, this should have been within the first half an hour, not 3 hours down the line.
I don't see him talking. Okay, right here.
If fascism is voted in, is it still bad? Why? So,
yes, because I think it violates people's personal autonomy.
What if the fascist regime,
5 seconds.
all right, what they did was they literally used oppression in order to elevate autonomy?
Can you give me an
The
example?
illusion of
Yeah,
autonomy.
sure. So they took all of the corporations and made them the body of the state, so that all the trade wars inside of the nation stopped immediately. So they would be oppressing all of those corporations, incorporating them into the state, right?
5 seconds.
But as a result of that, personal autonomy elevated.
All right, 10-second response, and we'll move on.
I'm not really sure what you're trying to get at. I already answered the
Fascism?
question, but I
Okay,
think
yeah,
fascism
yeah,
is bad
fascism.
because it violates people's personal autonomy.
Well, last
That's
question.
my
then.
that's my final answer.
Okay, got
Next
it. Last
question.
question then. Can I just get one more real quick? Last question for you.
Very quick.
Can you just define for me what is fascism? What is it?
So it
Oh,
is
fuck my
obedience to
life.
authority,
Stop this,
whilst
stop this.
infringing on other people's freedoms.
So I don't think
I'm
there's
sorry.
anything else. I don't
Nah,
think
he lost
did
this. He lost this.
Yeah.
You can't debate an OnlyFans whore on how what she's doing is wrong, and all is you're trying to score points on is, can you define fascism? Can you define utilitarianism? Can you tell me how you're going to measure for happiness? Can you explain to me the harm principle? Can you? If this is how you're going to fight this war, I'm sorry, you lost. You lost
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry. This was bad. Oh my god, this is bad. Oh god, I don't want to be shitting on Andrew Wilson. I don't want his fangirls coming for me, but this was embarrassing. If you think that he won this and this is the way he's fighting, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, how you look, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna be fair. The reason why I'm being harsh is because I know what he's capable of, right? This is like how I got pissed off with Mike Tyson for throwing the fight against Jake Paul. He should have come out, beat the shit out of him. He came out in round one, accidentally hit him too hard, nearly knocked him on his ass. We all saw how Jake got rocked. His son's gonna fucking feel that. He accidentally, he forgot. He tried to pull his punch, and he nearly knocked Jake out in the first fucking round. And the rest of the fight, he didn't throw a single punch because he knew that anybody who knows boxing realizes Tyson could have killed him in the first fucking round. And the rest of the 12 rounds, the rest of the rounds, he was biting his glove, keeping his guard up, and was just taking everything Jake threw at him, thinking, I'm going to demonstrate to the world that I can go the distance. Even though I'm fucking 60 something years old, I can go the distance. I nearly knocked this motherfucker out in the first round. And I took everything he had without pretty much throwing a single fucking power punch for the rest of the rounds. So you tell me really who won. Mike Tyson threw that fight whilst proving to the world that he beat Jake Paul. And if you don't think that that's what happens, it's because you don't know boxing. This was a 60-year-old dude against a jacked fucking guy who was half his fucking age, and he nearly knocked him out in round one, and then didn't throw any significant combo or any power punch the rest of the entire fight. And you're going to try and tell me, like some people said, oh, it's because he was gassed. He wore himself out. He wore himself out, so he couldn't throw a fucking combo. He couldn't throw a heavy a power punch, but he went the whole fucking distance, all of those rounds, going toe-to-toe with the guy. And don't even try to say that Jake took it easy on him. There's no fucking way. Look at what Jake was doing. He was sweating more than fucking Tyson was. That was a bullshit fight. And I was angry at Tyson for doing it, even though I understood why he did it. I wanted to take a payday. And so I got paid by Jake. Okay, fine. You took that motherfucker's money. You threw your legacy away, but at least you did it in a smart way to show the people who understand the sport you could have beaten him if you wanted to. But you're still a sellout. So I don't know how I feel about that. But in the moment, I felt angry. And here, kind of feel a little bit angry because I know what Andrew can do, and he didn't do it. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you look at it and you know what the argument should be. You know what the argument that's made should be, especially because I heard it from Andrew's own mouth. So I'm kind of a little bit irritated. I got irritable. It's late as well. I had a busy week. I've been drinking, so maybe I'm talking out of line. I shouldn't have been saying that stuff. What?
Nothing. Go on.
I shouldn't be saying it, but I get a little bit heated, and I've been drinking a little bit, but I know what he can do. He should have closed this within the first 30 minutes. But to be fair, we didn't watch the whole thing. My only problem was that he didn't come out straight out the bat and go for her, because he should have gone for the fucking jugular the minute she said ethically creating corn. Like, fuck that shit.
So you don't like my points at all? What?
No, you've got some good points, but like it frustrates me that you're okay, Kat. The past couple of times that you wanted to debate, and that you did some kind of debate stuff, right?
Sure.
I was like, okay, cool, go for it. Dip your toe in it, try do it, whatever. Okay, cool, go for it. The thing that's annoying me now is that you haven't learned from the past things. And like Tariak told you, I told you a couple of times, if you're going to go into a debate and you think, I'm not that good at it, at least help yourself out by arguing something that you believe. If you're not good at debate and you're like, well, I'm not that great and I don't really understand the subject and I don't do this, don't do devil's advocate shit straight out of the bat. That's harder to do. Make it easier for yourself. Say, this is what I believe. I'm happy to talk about this. And I'm sure that Tomato, who you've kind of spoken with before, you've done stuff with before, you seem to be on friendly terms with her. I'm sure she'll respect it if you say, look, I disagree with this girl on this and this and this. Can I argue my points? There's some stuff that we agree on, but I've got a point of contention when she says this or when she says that. This is what I disagree with. Can we debate this? But if she's going to say, I need you to argue this side, and these are the points I need you to argue for, I think you should just say, I'm sorry, I can't argue that because I don't believe it, and I'm not confident on arguing something I don't believe.
It's easier to find the hill for you to stand on out in your beliefs and vehemently defend them and go after her on those beliefs than it is to, if you're wavering on something, you don't quite know enough about it, you're going to have, it's much easier for someone to sway you or get around your argument and undermine it. But if you have good, solid, strong beliefs, like when somebody comes at me about something and I have a good, strong, solid belief, I slap back hard. But if it's something I'm not quite, I don't know enough information about, then I'll be, I'm not going to be hard. I won't be able to make my arguments as well. But if
and you want him to be hard, Kat.
You want it to be hard in your
as much as possible. Yes.
Possibly other.
Okay, stop. Let's relax.
You should have a dildo on.
Okay, stop. Silence.
Andrew has one. There,
oh my gosh.
It got to 100%.
But the point he's making is, Kat, you need to go into this argument with her erect and throbbing, right? You need to really be able to give it to her.
Yeah, just like strap it on and go at it.
Yeah. Smash her back doors in.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta go for blood.
Yeah. Leave that shit looking like ground zero.
Okay. So I think I think that's good. I saw another one that she did with Rachel, but I already watched the whole thing and I got like notes from that. It was on, let me see. Does OnlyFans empower women? Now this one, Rachel won. For sure. Yeah. This one was good. Rachel definitely won that one. So I don't know, because it's like,
Her name is Diddley.
that's what she goes by, obviously. She's like P. Diddley.
So she, okay, that's
Because you
my
diddle
thoughts-
to her. You know what I mean? You
well,
diddle
she-
to her.
she
So she's the
diddles over-
diddlier.
What's a freak out for her?
I don't know. Anyways. I think Daemon got
People
bored.
pay to look at her?
People pay to look at lots of people.
Interesting.
Steve, I've got to tell you, Kat likes her. Kat was saying earlier on how she wants to try and get her to be in a three-way with you two.
Oh,
Oh, no,
God. No, I did
no.
not say
No
that.
three
You
ways.
Yes, you
That's not
did.
happening.
No, I said we should get her on the
What?
podcast,
Oh,
the stream.
no.
See? Look at
Three-way
this.
is bad idea.
Stop.
And then
Stop
she
being annoying.
said, like, she's so hot.
She's no.
Admit it, Kat. You said she's hot.
Well, I said she's cute. We should get her on. What's the big deal? You said she's smart.
Yeah, no. She's yeah. I said straight away, like, I'm impressed. Like, she made her points clearly. She's
Mhm.
well spoken. She's right on a lot of stuff. I think she's a little bit disingenuous or naive, thinking that she can do what she's doing like in some ethical way. But look, I'm not a fucking flower child, man. I know we live in a fucking fucked up society, and there's evil shit out there, and you know there's bad stuff out there, and I know that at the end of the day we're all flawed sinners. So I've got no problem with people creating smart if they want to create smart. It's down to the individual if they want to ignore that temptation or indulge in it. Like, I don't, you know, if all you're doing is provide it and say, here it is, if you want it, you know, take it. The evils in the world that I think we should be combating isn't the people who say, look, here's a choice. Do you want to be bad or do you want to be good? I'm tempting you. Don't fight those guys. Fight the people who say, I am going to fuck your life up. You know, I'm going to come in and force myself into your life and do something that's going to like either take away a loved one or that's going to kind of bring a lot. Like, fight the people that are actively doing bad shit. Okay, I've got a way bigger problem with people invading other countries, bringing in a fucking death cult ideology, wanting to
Oh my
fuck up
gosh.
people's lives, collapse your whole fucking society, upend your civilization. I've got a way bigger problem with that shit. That shit is way more prevalent. You know, that shit is coming into civilized Western countries like 1,500 people a month. I've got a bigger problem with that than some girl who wants to open an OnlyFans account and fucking play with herself.
Yes, but that's not going to help me win this debate, Daemon.
No, but we already spoke about how you're going to win this debate. If you want to win
Okay.
the debate, just say to her, look, tell me how what you're doing is ethically good. How
Yeah.
you said, I want us to be able to create corn in an ethically good way. Describe to me how that's going to be. The only way she's going to say is, well, I don't want the people who are doing it, the sex workers, to be abused. And I don't want them to be, forced into doing something they're not going to do. Okay, but the actual, when it comes down to making the shit that they're making
Mm-hmm.
and putting it out there, what does that art, in quotation marks, look like? What is it going to be? Is it still going to be the same smut that we have right now? It's going to be her answer is obviously going to be yes. Yeah, it'll be the same way. So how is it ethically different? Well, they didn't get harmed doing it. Well, no. that isn't what makes it ethically good. At the end of the day, if there's corn out there making its way to people, potentially also kids, because we always know that it's kids who end up getting their fucking hands on it. Okay. Like pretty much everyone in the last couple of years of my primary school ended up having some kind of corn magazine. They found it.
Primary school?
Primary school. We finished primary school when we were like 10 or 11 years old.
Oh, 10,
And there was
okay.
already, there were already, yeah, because we go into secondary school in the UK when you're 11. Okay.
Okay.
So in
Did you
that
find it?
school, what was that?
Nothing. I was asking him when he found it.
Jesus.
No, the opposite.
You usually end up finding Jesus right after the parents discover your corn. Like,
No. It was before that even came into my head.
but yeah, like if you I don't care if the woman who's making that content got driven there in a limousine, paid a stack full of money, and flew out on a jet, or if she ended up going home in the back of a fucking windowless van on a tear-stained fucking mattress. I don't care how the fuck you got treated. I care more about what is the content, who ends up finding the content, and how it affects them. Because that's the problem. Like, if you go into that industry, if you decide, I want to be doing this kind of shit, then however you get treated, I'm sorry, that's on you. You decided that that's what you wanted to do with your life. And I know, obviously, the world not being a perfect place, some people get pulled into it, they get trafficked into it, they get kidnapped or whatever. And yes, those people I have sympathy for. Okay. So this goes to make my point, which is we should allow this shit, because if you legalize it, if you push it out there saying, look, we're gonna make it mainstream, make as much of this corn shit as you want to make. Okay, so you have easier avenues for women to get into it if they want to get into it, and it's not frowned upon, it's not kind of like socially stigmatized. Put it out there, make it available. It gives the traffickers less opportunity to monetize it on their end. But at the end of the day, it's down to the rest of the men in society and women who also consume that shit. It's down to us to be responsible and say, are we going to engage in it? Are we going to give in to temptation? Are we going to throw our money at that, or are we not? Are we just going to stay away from it and ignore it? And if you're religious or if you're a conservative, you should agree with that point. Because if you're a conservative, you say, I don't want government involved in this shit. I don't want them censoring shit. I don't want them saying what we can and can't consume. I don't want them taking shit off the shelves and forbidding shit. I can control my family, my people. I will say what my kids get to look at. I will, I'll control that. And I have faith in, my flock being able to reject that temptation and control themselves. That's down to us, not down to the government. And from a religious perspective, like I said a few times already, you have to understand that we can't eliminate all forms of temptation, because then we're not being tested. And as a Christian, or as I'm guessing most religions will have this concept, you have to be able to face those troubles, to go through it, to walk through that fire and to come out of the other side unscathed. You have to be able to push yourself away, control yourself, push those temptations away. Face it, but don't give in to it. So I'm all for her doing what she's doing. It's just that I would like for her to understand that that makes her an agent of evil in that respect. That makes her, a sinner in doing what she's doing. She's actively tempting those people. She's putting that filth out there. She's contributing to destroying those lives, those people who couldn't reject that temptation. She's responsible for that to some degree.
She's a gateway drug to molestation.
Oh my God.
Yes, Steve.
Oh my God.
We gotta drop
Oh,
it there.
whoa. Relax.
It's like,
Whatever.
she's the marijuana
No,
of the
shh,
drugs.
shh. Okay, let's relax.
She's the BB gun to
Let's-
firearms.
No, we can't say those things.
If this girl does end up coming onto the show, you got to say like in your really Jewy accent, like go back
No.
to Babylon, you whore. Like just tell her that. But say it in Jew speak.
No. Jeez.
Let's let these
No. Stop talking.
Yeah.
No. We're not. We are not.
Yes, we are, Kat. Yes, we are.
No.
Who let the woman talk, Steve?
I think we did.
Fucking hell.
This is technically.
Give
you
them an
guys'
inch, they'll
fault.
take them more.
You gave us rats, and now we won't be quiet.
Huh? Can you expand on that?
You gave us rights, and now we won't be
Oh,
quiet.
I think you said rats. Like
I
a
thought she said
camel.
rats as well. I was like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Is there something I didn't? Did rats come from the UK? They brought rats to the United States?
Oh my
What the
gosh!
hell?
Stop.
Mind blown.
Okay. Anyways, moving on. So let's see. I don't know if I want to get on Jake's because he's doing his degen stuff with cheeks. I'm afraid.
I gotta give Curse Zero a shout out
Okay, go.
for that all that for a drop of blood quote.
Which one? The last one? This one?
Yep.
No?
The one where it ended, where like, you know, to make a god bleed, people will lose their faith, and all that for a drop of blood.
How come I can't see it?
It's in the chat.
Which?
Oh, okay. I found it. Interesting.
You know what that's from, right?
No,
No.
we don't know. Is this a movie?
Jesus.
What? We don't get out much.
Clearly.
I know. So you're not going to tell us? Wow. How rude.
He doesn't remember either.
He doesn't know. He's trying to
Thanos.
change the subject.
What do you mean is I don't remember.
Oh,
Thanos? A
the
Marvel? You're quoting.
Yeah.
Diddly Dong. Are you serious? It's Diddly Dong.
What?
No.
The
Diddly Dong?
Diddly Dong.
Okay. So you're gonna give her a nickname? Ding Dong?
No. So I don't want to go hang out with Jake right now. He's doing some degen stuff with my favorite degen. So I think
What's he doing? What's he doing?
they're talking about like N-word stuff again, like the whole episode. So I'm just gonna
Take
let
us
them.
into Jake. Take us into Jake. Go on.
No. Let me ask him.
He's drinking Bud Light. Who knows if I'll see this?
Oh yeah, Curse Zero says I am Iron Man. Yeah, the first part of the quote where it's like if you make a god bleed, people lose their faith. That I think was Iron Man 2. The one with Ivan Vanko, I think that was the second one. Where he says it to Tony Stark. But then at the end it's the all that for a drop of blood was Thanos saying that.
Okay. I sent you the thing. So we're just going to go. I'm not streaming whatever Jake does. I have learned my lesson. I will not stream.
Wait, no, take us onto Jake.
I
Come on,
can't
please.
because it's his stream. So I can't make us pop into there. We have to like leave and then go in there.
Okay, are you going to go on it? What does that mean?
I might go in a little bit.
She'll wait 5 hours.
I'm going to wait for like, when he's tired of saying the N-word, then I'll
He'll
go.
never be tired of that.
I mean, like
In his grave, he'll be tired of it.
Do you know what I love about Jake? Do you know what I love about Jake? Is that I went on his stream. I can't remember when it was. I think it was about a week ago. And I said something. I can't remember what it was that I said. I don't know if it was corn, but with the P, or if it was the proper word for like self-deleting. But it was some tame word. And it was like, no. He corrected it. He corrected it. Say it this way, say it this way, say it this way. And I never said it. I didn't say it to Jake because I didn't want to open up that can of worms. But I'm like, dude, you say the N word a million times on your stream, but I can't say this word, which is like way less tame. Like, the fuck?
It's completely unnecessary. There's no need to.
I think Jake just likes being as controversial as possible. I think
I get
gets
where he's
moss.
coming from. I think that we need to just be like, you know what? We found ourselves in a position where there's a lot of, let's be honest. Their mask has fallen. Okay. A lot of the black people today that are commenting, that are coming out of the woodwork after this, after the Austin Metcalf thing, right? Was it Austin Metcalf? Was that his surname? I forget.
I don't know these people.
The kid who got stabbed at the track meet.
I don't
By
remember.
Carmelo Anthony. I think it's Austin something. I think it's Metcalf. I might be wrong. But a lot of the people that came out there doing the whole usual thing, playing victim, trying to say like, oh, you're telling us that black people can't be in certain spaces. Like he was told to get out of this space and blah, blah, blah. And this has been happening for ages. Oh, it's generational trauma that we're dealing with and all this kind of stuff. Like, and they're donating so much money to Carmelo Anthony's legal fund, which isn't really a legal fund because it's, you know, they just blow it on renting a fucking big mansion and shit. But whatever the case, like a lot of the black people, the same people that we saw after the Carl Rittenhouse thing, the same people that we saw after the St. Floyd of fentanyl thing, all of these people, the mask is off now. It's not about pretending to be a victim. They've just gone all out now, and they're showing that they are actually black supremacists who hate white people. Okay? They are 100% black supremacists. They behave like black supremacists would behave and have behaved in the past. And they clearly just hate white people, and they're celebrating the fact that a black kid stabbed a white person and raised like over $500,000. That's what they're happy about. And they are baiting on social media everyone. They're baiting everyone to try and call them that. Like they think that people are going to be too scared to say you're just a black supremacist. Like everything that you're trying to accuse white people of, that's what you are, only for black people. And especially with this woman who called a black kid the N-word in a park because he tried to fucking steal her kid's shit. And we saw how the media handled that. They lied about the black kid's age. They lied about the guy who filmed the whole incident. And he was like baiting her in the video, like, why you said the N-word? You're not going to say it now. You're too scared. You're too scared. You're too scared. Give them what they want. Just say it. Say the N-word. Who gives a shit? Say it. They think you're too scared to say it. They want you to say it. And then when you say it, they act all shocked. Just fucking say it. Because if you say it, you're going to realize what has that word done to you? Somebody called you the N-word. What happened? Did you get cancer after they said it? Like, what's the big fucking deal? And what are you going to do if they say it? You're going to want to beat the shit out of them, right? You're going to want to break their face. You're going to want to curb stomp them. And you're going to act like you were justified because they called you the N-word. Now what happens? You're the one who's exposed as being a fucking retard. One person used words. You had to use violence. One guy asked you to move and get out of the tent that you didn't belong because it's not your fucking team's tent and you shouldn't be there. And what did you do? You stabbed him in the heart. And then you're going to act all offended when people say that you're prone to violence. You're going to act like that's somehow racist to say that you get aggravated quicker than other people do. If somebody called you a bad word, call them a bad word back. If somebody asked you to fuck off, you say to them, fuck you if it bothers you. But if somebody asks you to do something, especially when you're in the wrong, and your only course is to resort to violence, then you can't act offended when somebody calls you a fucking savage. It's really that fucking simple. And the fact that for some people it's not that simple just goes to show how fucking influential the media is.
Well, whenever you tell people they're a victim over and over and over and over again for decades, in every movie, you're like, oh, you're such a victim, you're such a victim. You can't say this because it hurts your feelings, because you're so sensitive, you're so this. People start to believe it. They lose the ability to realize that they're being controlled by coming into agreement with it.
What you just said there is so right. It's so right. And also the scariest thing is if you speak to a lot of black people in America today, we know that the majority of black people in America are Democrats. If you speak to most left-wing people, you really realize how powerful this strategy was. Ever since like the 1960s, when the Democrats pretended to care about black people and started this bigotry of low expectations. It's not bigotry. It's not bigotry. Bigotry implies that you're somehow ignorant and unaware of what you're doing. And that because you're ignorant and naive to some degree about the people that you're claiming to help, you think that they are less capable. You have low expectations of them because you are ignorant. You're not educated. You don't have experience of them. So you assume that they're not capable. You assume that they're pathetic. You assume that they're ill-educated. So this phrase, the bigotry of low expectations, the soft bigotry of low expectations, I use it, but I disagree with it on a semantics kind of way. I disagree with it because what it actually is they know exactly, the Democrats knew back then and they know today. They know exactly that black people aren't stupid. They know 100% that black people can easily go out there and get a voter ID card if they want to. They know that black people have access to the internet and they can go and get a driver's license or some form of identification. They know that. They know all of this shit. But they pretend like black people are somehow less capable. And when they go and talk to them and they say, look, the deck is stacked against you. It's so hard for you being an African American. It's so hard for you having that black skin in this world because everyone's racist. Everyone wants you to fail. And the whole institution is set up to make you fail. They know that that's all bullshit, but they know that it's really powerful to tell them that. They know that it's powerful to tell them that because if you tell them that, even if they don't believe it, they're going to think that you believe it. So the first Democrats that came into black communities and started telling people this, the police are all racist. We know that you guys are innocent old folk just trying to get along and do your thing, but they hate you because you're black. They're over policing you. They're more violent with you than anyone else is. And black people started believing that the whole world was against them and the whole system was racist. Everything was racist. But along comes this party of people that are saying this, right? Now, the majority of black people were smart enough. And I know because I had family who lived there. The majority of black people were smart enough back then. Back then, I had family who lived there who knew what was going on when Democrats came there and tried to win over those people and get them hooked on handouts, basically. The majority of black people were like, these white people, like they don't really know what it's like here. It's not really that bad, but they think it is. So we're going to take advantage of them. They thought that they were taking advantage of the Democrats. You're going to help us. We want the whole fucking police gone. Okay, we'll get rid of the police from your neighborhoods. And they thought that that was a win. But they didn't realize how fucking sly the Democrats were. And they knew full well, we get rid of the police, crime's going to increase. You guys don't see this, but we're playing chess. We're looking 4 or 5 steps ahead. We know that when the crime increases, that the businesses are going to pull out. And when the businesses pull out, you're going to have less job opportunities. We have less job opportunities. You're going to have increased poverty. When you have increased poverty, you're going to have increased crime rates. You're going to have more people joining gangs because it's the only way they can make money. And you're going to have people failing in schools. And it's going to be a vicious cycle. Because after you lose all that money, you're going to lose your houses. You're going to remortgage your house. Eventually, the bank's going to take it. You're going to all have to end up renting. And what happens then? Because you don't own the house and house properties are dropping because the neighborhood's dangerous, the local schools are going to be shit because the schools depend on the housing prices. So schools are shit. More kids are going to fail. So what happens? Gang violence increases even more because the only way that people can get out of that situation is by committing crime, joining a gang, making money that way. So they created the fucking dangerous ghettos by doing that. And they all did it by pretending to care about the black community. But it was the black community that thought that they were taking advantage of the Democrats because they thought that the Democrats genuinely had this soft bigotry of low expectations. They thought these guys are dumb. They think that we're suffering. They think that we're victims. We're not really victims. I mean, yeah, it's hard here, but it's not that bad. We'll take advantage of them. But they didn't realize that it was the Democrats playing a fucking game, pretending to be ignorant, knowing full well that the black people would take advantage of them or try to take advantage of them, but really they were committing the bigger sin further down the line. And that's how they got fucking played. That's how snaky the Democrats were back then and still are to this day, still pretending. We care about you black people in the community. You're so dumb you don't know how to use the internet and get a voter ID card.
Well, they did the same thing with women. They did the same thing with women. They moved it to women. Oh, we have to you need to lower expectations to get the same jobs men have because you're a victim. We have to
and
make
as with women, the same thing happened with both black people and women as well. Decades after telling them, like you pointed out earlier, decades after telling them, you're a victim. Everybody hates you. The system's against you. It's easy to continue saying that lie, even though you know it's a lie. Why? Because it's easier to swallow that lie than to accept the truth. Now, if you tell again, and when you explain this to black people, they get angry. They get angry because they think that you're trying to say they're dumb because they're black. No. You could take a white kid today. You could take a classroom full of white children and tell white children, everybody hates you because you're white. And this is kind of happening now. This is kind of happening in London now.
They're doing it to white males now. Now it's their turn. So,
but you tell them
if you're useless, you're evil. You're the problems in the world. You're the patriarchy. You have to be eradicated. Nobody should, whatever. All this stuff now.
Yeah, but if you tell them that, and if you tell them, look, you can take a kid. This is why I think the Matrix was right. The Matrix was right. The peak of human civilization was 1999.
Yeah.
We came out of the 80s, which was the greatest time of cinema. Most inspirational movies you'll ever find came out in the 80s. And in the 90s, that peak was kind of maintained. I think The Matrix was probably the last great fucking movie at that level. We've had other films that came close. But like, I think Matrix was kind of peak because of everything that it predicted. But you take any film back from the 80s, an inspirational film about being a strong fucking man, you show it to any kids today, let's say, I know, any film that's got a fucking montage moment in it, where somebody goes out and trains and then ends up kicking ass, right? Show that film to a kid right before he has like some sports event. And I don't care how fucking badly his team starts getting beaten, he's going to give it everything he's fucking got. But if you take a classroom of kids and you say the whole world is stacked against you, everybody hates you, everybody thinks that you're useless, nobody thinks you'll ever accomplish anything. They think that you are less than human. They think that you are beneath everyone else because you're white. Okay? And the system is rigged for you to fail. And even if you give 110%, and so does the other team, and it comes too close to call, the ref is going to take the other person's side over your side. And anytime he has to make some judgment calls, a penalty decision, anything like that, if it goes against you, it's because you're white. It's because of something that you can't control, something that you have no power over. And this is why anytime you fail in life, it's got nothing to do with how hard you tried or whatever. It's because everyone's against you because of your skin color. You say that to any kid, regardless of if they're black, white, brown, yellow, whatever the fuck. The moment they fail, they're not going to try again because they think it's got nothing to do with how hard they tried. They obviously believe that it's because of something else, because it's easier, it's nicer for you to believe. It's more comfortable for you to believe. If you fail, that it wasn't your fault. It's more comfortable to believe that lie. Because if you fail and you have to tell yourself, it's because I didn't train hard enough. I didn't fight hard enough. I didn't study hard enough. I could have done more, but I was lazy. I was distracted. I was tired. That is a bitter pill to swallow. But if you swallow it, like most bitter pills, it is going to help you. But the sweet, easy, nice stuff, the fantasy shit, is exactly that. It's a fantasy and it doesn't help you. But today, it's much easier for people to believe the fantasy. And we know this. We've had generations of soft, wrapped in cotton wool, useless fucking people that haven't been prepared for the real world. And people who believe this racism, victimhood card shit are just another example of that. So even though they know it's not true, sorry, I was going to say, even though they know it's not true, most grown up black people who vote Democrat in America today, they know that they're not victims. They know that the institutions aren't against them, because I genuinely believe that black people in America are not that stupid. Even if they're Democrats and they watch CNN, they can't be that stupid. They really can't. They know it's bullshit. They know they're not oppressed. They know that they're not facing racism.
But that's the same thing. Like, wait, hold on. I just unplugged my freaking thing. Okay, that's the same thing. Like when women will say, like, I'm oppressed, or like I should be able to do whatever I want because of the patriarchy. They know that the patriarchy is not against them.
Yeah.
But they want the extra benefits.
Every single feminist out there who claims patriarchy, who says, oh, the patriarchy, this, that, they know it's bullshit, because they know 100% if it was real, you wouldn't have the ability to be standing here screaming that shit at a man. The only reason why you have a vote, and the only reason why you were allowed into the workplace, and the only way that you can raise your voice like this against a man without being buried up to your neck in sand and stoned to death, is because men gave you those privileges. Privileges, not freedoms, not rights, privileges. Because once upon a time, you wouldn't have been allowed to do any of that shit. And it's only by virtue of men creating a civilized society, fighting, bleeding, and dying for it, that we allowed you that. You're going to tell me that these soft, anorexic looking, starved their tits off bitches with fucking nose piercings and pink and blue hair, and who lose their shit just at being called a woman instead of non-binary, you're going to tell me that those women are going to be able to fight against the man and claim equal rights and claim a space in the workplace? You're going to tell me that women are going to do that on their own without a man allowing it to happen? Men allowed it. So how bad is the patriarchy? And how is the deck stacked against you if the only reason you have all of this shit is because we allowed you to have it? Yeah. No, I agree. 100% we can. It's because of the drink. It's a Saturday night. I have the drink. I can talk.
That's cute. I could have been
What
a
was that
basketball
last
player.
one? I didn't see the one before that you put up.
The white man holding me back. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
I could have been a basketball player, but I'm white. Oh my god. Anyways, so I think that's it for today, guys. We're probably gonna go hop on Jake's stream. I think Cheeks is there, so they're probably like, I imagine Jake and Cheeks on the same stream is just like there's no words between the N word
And the F word.
what was that?
Yeah, it's just F words and N words and F words and N words, and that's it. Like those are they don't have any language.
They can't say
They can't say
no silence. There has to be something expletive in between the words that they're while they think of something to say, they just rattle out a few, you know.
Their vocabulary is very limited, is all I'm saying.
It makes them so much more intelligent. They have very intelligent conversations with lots of
the way that they can weave it in, even when it doesn't make sense. But somehow it does make sense when they do it.
They add in the F word, you know, just they're talking about walking down the street while they're fucking
everything.
And if I'm imagining how they would be doing that, like it's like they're pegging each other as they're walking down the street. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a beautiful thing, Damon.
I'm gonna hop in there. It's been a while since I've seen Teriak.
Teriak's not there.
I thought you said it's Teriak and Jake.
No, it's Beaten Cheeks and Jake.
Did you?
Why the fuck was I thinking Teriak? You said Beaten Cheeks. Yeah.
I said
For
Cheeks.
some reason, I thought Teriak. Well, it's been a while since I've seen Cheeks anyway. I need to see that. I need to see that guy.
Okay,
God, I'm going to hop in the stream.
We will pop on.
I love those little illegals, though. They're brilliant.
Yes, my little illegal friends. We're going to pop on. What are my illegals?
Illegals? Who's illegal? Oh, you mean by what they're saying?
Jake and Cheeks.
Yeah, Jake and Cheeks.
Jaking the Cheeks.
Beautiful.
I told Kat, I told that I sent the video to Jake. I said, Jake, this is hilarious. And I sent the video of that chick.
Which one?
And with that joke, I was like, and I said to him, that joke killed me. He goes, which one? What joke? He hadn't watched the video yet.
Yeah.
And I said, how do you know that tacos aren't really Mexican? And he's like, what? How? And I go, because they didn't grape anybody. And he was like, fuck you. It's like, and I'm like, it wasn't my joke. It's the chick's joke. It's the girl. And he's like, yeah, but you laughed at it. Acting all offended. Everybody in the chat, see you guys. Take care.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.